Do 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 do. 6 minutes till the very launch. We're going to watch the live stream live, and then I'll be hopping into Conan after that, but I'm gonna need a little bit. Johan, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Do you want your banana back? You want to come up here? No, I'm fine on Snorlax right now. Okay. Okay, we have 5 minutes. God, the official Discord is a cesspool. We're gonna do good and check out. Hey! Thank you for gifting! I really appreciate that. Why is my goal not set properly?
Anonymous gifted 1 subscriptions. Bless the maker and his water. May his passage cleanse the world.
Yes. Thank you indeed. Create or... Okay. That should be the news goal. 175. Where are we at? We're at 130. Not bad. Not bad at all. Paseringo Beirasa. Where'd my... there's my... Let's try to find my weed pen. 3 minutes till the launch of the live stream. Let's also change this quality. Maker and his water. May his passage cleanse the world. Hey Zero Gravy, how you doing? Do 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 do. The paint box turned out amazing. It's right here behind me. Show it off. Here is the Bene Gesserit paint box. along with the Gamja bar right next to it that will be given away on the 10th. I am very happy with the way this turned out. It looks good. Put your hand in the box. The rules are simple. Take your hand out of the box, and you die.
Put your right hand in the box.
What's in the box?
Pain.
I'm gonna want to put hand in box.
"54 seconds!" Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that's possible. I can mute and unmute myself. Interesting. Do 24 seconds! Oh! Thank you for the fucking subscription, Anonymous. Who's doing all of these? Zero Gravy, you're now subscribed. Oh wait, we'll pause it.
Anonymous gifted 1 subscriptions. Bless the Maker and his water. May his passage cleanse the world.
The desert wants you dead, Off-worlder. If the sands don't take you, the storms will swallow you whole.
Yes, they will.
But you don't have to walk this path alone. In every danger, there is opportunity. The foundation of something greater. A power waiting to be harnessed. Desert power. Some claim to rule this planet. But Arrakis is yours to explore. To fight for.
Arrakis is mine. I will start building my empire. For my Duke! Kill them all.
But there are forces beyond even your control.
That would be the Rakian sandworm. Dude, these little worms on the bottom of the screen are dope as fuck. Thank you. You can use them yourself. Survival. I made them for us, and then everyone else got to use them. But if you go to Steam and get stream avatars, there's all this that I made. I showed you this before. But you can also go and use actions on that side of the screen. There's a stream avatar thingy. Click it and use that.
This is your path.
You can do all sorts of different things. You can even turn into the God Emperor. I need to turn this up. I'm so excited for this game. I'm so excited to do everything for our guild. Survival, you have no... Oh, you should also be made... You are a mod, right? Yeah, you are a modder. I'm so excited for this. This could be awesome. We're going to have such good things. She personally liked my mouse and shared it.
Last developer live stream before our head start and the full launch of Dune Awakening. I'm Natasha Rösli. I have the honor to be your host for today.
She said...
And I think I'm not the only
Okay.
one.
I told Natasha a little bit of my story and why it was so significant that she shared that and why it meant so much that the team said they loved my artwork. And she literally was so kind.
excited for you to experience what our teams have been working on for the past years. So, some of you have gotten a taste of what the game
Oh, and
feels
it's so
looks like
good!
during the beta weekend. But today we go beyond the beta and show you a glimpse of mid and end game of Dune Awakening. We have first a little segment where we talk beta and combat. We then have live gameplay of Haga Basin and also social hubs. We go into live gameplay of the Deep Desert. And as always, we have a Q&A in the end, where we'll be connecting questions from you, from chat, live during the stream. But before we dive into all of that, let's watch a brand new video.
Yes!
Combat in Dune Awakening is the fusion of melee, shields, ranged, abilities, and vehicles. As you progress, your tactical options expand, allowing you to express yourself through different styles of play. In the beginning, combat is a short, brutal affair. Do everything you can to knock your opponents off balance and open them up for a retaliating strike. Keep an eye on your stamina, or find yourself in trouble. Early abilities change the paradigm.
Yes, they do.
Use the voice to force your enemies to come to you. Shigawire claw to stagger an enemy.
You can stagger someone with the Shigawire?
Melee range.
That's good to know.
Ranged weapons like the Mauler pistol allow you to maintain distance. And
Why are you
take
using the
down
Mala
enemies from
pistol?
afar.
Use a fucking Karpov. Come on,
Until
grow
a
up.
shielded enemy enters the fray.
No, use a
Open
disruptor.
shields change the nature of combat. Their kinetic barrier can only be pierced by slow-moving objects. Fast on defense, slow on attack. Swords, daggers, kinjals, and rapiers are effective for dealing with
Rapiers.
shielded enemies. But without a shield of your own,
What is this? What is this? Whoa, 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 where is this ecological
But the
station?
shields
What?
also have a weakness beyond the slow blade. Ranged attacks cannot be fired from inside an active shield, creating a window of opportunity for the others to exploit. Specialized range weapons can counteract shields. The drill shot rifle fires drilling darts that will attach to a shield and slowly pass through.
That's probably going to be one of my primes,
Fires statically charged darts
along
at
with my
variable
tattoo
speeds to
disruptor.
overwhelm the power supply of the shield. Abilities can turn the tide of any battle. Swordmasters use their deflection ability to close the distance and bring their crippling strikes to bear on their enemies.
Yep, that's going to be one of mine.
Troopers use their techniques to take to the air and bring death from above.
I know where that is. That's
Bene
ecological,
Gesserit
or
stop
that's
enemies in
lab
their
station
tracks
10.
with the power of the voice. Or use their Bindu dash to quickly close the gap. Mentats control the battlefield with their sentinel. Or use the Hunter Seeker for a silent takedown. Abilities, ranged weapons, shields and melee work in concert to allow mastery.
I am so excited when I can take my Fanged Fadakeen out like that, flanking me on either side.
To awaken. Transcend shields
Ah.
with new abilities and prescience.
Prescience.
Seeing what others cannot, the narrow path.
That's still a lot of spice in those tins.
Combine these techniques freely to experience sandbox combat. Create unique strategies and bring them to bear against your foes. Always remember, Arrakis takes the weak.
Yes, it does. I'm clipping that little last bit because I'm gonna take that Arrakis always takes the weak. That's one sound thing for my sound bites.
and we are back and diving straight into our first segment.
I know, let's go.
Game in the Haga Basin towards end
Let's
game as well.
go.
But first,
7 days
let's
and counting.
of course introduce our guests for today.
Joel!
Here on this side, we did let him out of the doghouse. We have Joel Bailos, aka Chris Knife, our creative director. Joel, you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi everybody. My name is, I have to admit it, Joel Bailos this time. So, because this is the last live stream, I'm going to admit that my name is Joel.
Love it.
It's fine. And yep, looking forward to talking about everything we're going to talk about today. Yeah.
Yes, and on this side we have Scott Jr., our executive producer on the game, new face.
Yeah,
Interesting.
finally let me out. You know,
Yes.
the game is done.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's good.
Now that the game is done, you let me
to
out.
talk about Dune finally.
Oh, an American.
So, Scott, let us
That's
do a
rare
little
at
throwback to
FunCon.
beta.
Sure.
Players, as mentioned, have had, let's say, not a small taste, but a taste of the game, the survival aspect of the game. Maybe we can have an infographic where we actually see what the players in the beta were able to experience. Here we have a little infographic. What was the most valuable takeaway from this beta?
I think getting the game in so many people's hands so they can understand what we made. When we started working on Dune, we wanted to make more than just a normal survival game. We wanted to make a very Dune game, first and foremost. And so that's not obvious, right, what we were doing, because we were taking a lot of risks trying to do some new takes on things to make them more Dune than survival. So we have a lot of people finally being able to play the game and understand, you know, what we're trying to do. So that was great. And then seeing the feedback and the reactions and all the social media posts, all the YouTube videos, it's been fantastic seeing all the feedback. My personal takeaways is that we had a couple technical issues that we were able to sort out and get fixed pretty quickly.
Such as a
Some
DDoS
issues
attack.
With, some crashes and
Dude, more information has come out about the DDoS attack against Funcom during the beta. The DDoS attack was not just Rust hackers, it was also fucking WoW hackers. And you know what? WoW and Rust players, sweeties,
that we've
you
already
should be
fixed.
scared.
So I'm really excited to get the game out next week so everybody can see what we've changed.
Oh, I'm so excited!
No, I mean, for me, it's...
Oh, done!
Finally
We
playing.
get to
Like,
see...
I-
Oh, done!
Someone asked me on Discord like a year ago, like, tell us about the game. They wanted me to describe the game. They weren't in the beta. And I was like, well, it's very hard to describe because it's something unique. Yes, it has some familiar survival stuff, but we've layered it all underneath the Dune IP. And it's really hard to describe how all of those things come together to create something that I feel is kind of unique and interesting, right? And so, yeah, I think it was fun for people to really get their hands on it. I mean, we've been talking with the closed beta players for a while, but seeing people in the world having it, streaming it, you know, putting up YouTube videos, talking about what they were experiencing, I think, you know, importantly, people finding out whether they like or dislike the game as well, because I really like people to be able to make an informed choice about what they're buying as well. So
The informed choice is buy it.
100%. I think one thing I can add to this as well is, like, for me, having a little bit more of a bird's eye view of how the developers and the teams were reacting to this, because me too, we have been so close to the game for such a long time, you can't really judge it anymore, like,
Yeah,
from
you
a
can't.
normal, like, gamer.
This is a really important point. When people get mad at developers for not seeing something, bro, the entire team has been working on this for almost 7 years now. And that amount of time, you start to not see the flaws. There's this really weird thing that happens in game dev where you kind of start seeing it through a sort of frosted lens. That's what the executive producers, though, are there for. Most of the time. Sometimes they're not so good. And that's what beta tests are
and then
for.
seeing all those amazing kind of, obviously there was feedback as well that we kind of needed to address and things. More on that in a second.
Yeah.
But it was just so fun to see how everyone kind of was like, no, we have something here, like people are enjoying it and they're getting it and they're like having fun playing the game, and that was really great to see from that perspective as well, like just overall.
And the moments like people almost getting eaten by the sandworm, right? You know, those are very tense moments that happen in the game, and
Yeah.
just seeing the reactions for people has been fantastic.
Exactly.
yeah, there was one thing I really enjoyed was also like watching people coming in. I don't want to say skeptics, but they kind of, as they hit the beats of the game,
I cried.
as they progress through the game.
I
in the beginning, they're like,
legitimately
okay, this is this and this is
cry.
this, and
You
you
were
kind of-
here. You
and
watched
then,
me
like,
cry.
Wait,
The moment
wait,
I
you can
stepped on the
combine
sands, I
suspension
cried.
And the Shiga claw, and you can. Oh wait, you can do these things. Oh cool, I got like, and suddenly the game like it's opening up more and more, and they're really starting to understand the philosophy of how we approach the development with the sandbox, right? So. I don't know. As I saw people experiment, I was just like, "Oh God, people they're seeing it and doing it. It's
They
great.
get it. They have
get
those
it.
light bulb moments that you
Yes.
were hoping for, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and they just were growing more positive as they played more, right? And that
Yeah.
that to me is huge. It's really important.
Yeah, and it's, as I mentioned, that are the things that are really great to see from kind of an outside perspective as well.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Just it's the first slide was showing this, right? It's just the first 20 hours, so it's just a taste
Yep.
of the game, right? It's just the very beginning of Act 1. We have so much more to show, and
Which
the best
is
parts are yet to
the
come.
rest,
can
quite a
talk
bit,
about it.
like a little bit of the stream as well. But going back to the beta weekend, there were of course
There's
some
still
things
so
that
much we don't
weren't that
know.
great, that
And when
didn't go
people are
as
shitting
planned.
on this game
One of
already,
those
go
moments
fuck
was, of
yourself. You
course,
have
the
no
PvP
idea what this game
moment
is
in
going to
the
be,
Gold
but I
Pass,
can
and when it
guarantee you
comes to melee
this
combat
could
specifically.
potentially kill Rust.
But we have
Like
actually
this.
worked on this and fixed it. Scott, you can give a bit of
Yeah,
context
so
to that.
we were aware of this issue. We've been in closed beta for a year and a half
Yeah.
almost now, right? The new combat came in August of last year.
Yep.
And we've been making tweaks based on feedback and playtests that we've been doing. So going into the beta, we knew that there was that issue around stamina and what would happen if it ran out, and we'd already been working on it.
I
for
have
over a month to
everything
try to
on
fix it.
those shelves
So we
except
patched out
for
and changed to it.
the
Do you
Baron
wanna go over the
Harkonnen
details
and
of that?
I mean, the
except
high-level
for
changes
the
was-
Sandworm
it's something like this now, right? Just
bookends,
to-
which is really
so
cool.
Heavy and slow blade have been separated as attacks.
And I don't
So
have the
heavy
Dune
staggers people
encyclopedia.
now,
I
and then a
wish I
slow
had the
blade
Dune
finishes them off, like, or goes
encyclopedia.
into the slow blade attack. So
Oh, thank
you
God they
actually
fixed that.
Now holding the button, you'll actually do a heavy attack.
Oh, thank
All
God.
attacks have now got proper stamina costs attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then in addition, if you're in a place where you're
Also,
into
thank
a stamina
God.
situation, you get an ability which is called Second Win. It just pops on. It starts to restore your stamina bar quickly, so you can dodge out of any sort of stun lock in that situation. So yeah, we've been doing balance around stamina.
And
costing,
everyone was
we've been
saying they
doing
weren't
balance
going to do
around,
this
like,
right. They
attacks work.
fucking nailed
I
it.
think
That's
it's all
exactly the
working
changes
pretty
you
well.
should have
Scott and I
made.
did a fair bit of PvP.
Well, in my
ourselves.
opinion
We're
at
pretty
least, but
bad
what do
at
I
it,
know?
Top of a
Who
shipwreck.
won? Did you
Yeah,
do well?
yeah,
I
one, yeah.
won,
He-
and Joel won day 2. Maybe?
I think you won day one,
Yeah.
but that was because on the second day I slotted the Bene Gesserit technique, the Mentat technique, which allowed me to avoid his voice power. And then he wasn't able to
I
get me
see.
anymore. So then it was fun. Like it's
There
it's
you
fun
go,
to
rock,
see
paper,
how
scissors approach.
how the dynamics work,
yeah.
right? So it was a lot of fun. And yeah,
If I was
think
working
people-
at Funcom,
there's
I
still,
would
you know, we put it on the
100% try
closed
to
beta,
kill
we're getting
Joel.
feedback from people and testing. But one thing is important to stress, right? It's a live game, and we're going to continue to patch and update. So we'll be paying a lot of.
This. I cannot stress this enough. For a live service game, I don't know if any of you were there for the Sea of Thieves launch, but the Sea of Thieves launch, the game was basically not a game. And it has become a game, and I was a loyal follower through then and a rare apologist. But the difference here is, when this launches, it will be a complete game. And I honestly, other than like Expedition 33 and Blueprints, I can't tell you the last time I played a complete game from a AAA developer
attention to what happens
of
as the game
this
goes on, as
quality.
people are playing, and we're here to make the game better. That's our job. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautifully said. Thank you. But enough just a dry talk. Let's jump into some gameplay. So we actually have an example of group game.
Woo!
Like that word is just
dry examples. I thought you were going to break out the wine. But let's.
Maybe I should. Maybe I would go better.
Yes,
But,
show me.
Yes, so we have some group gameplay, mid game actually.
Yeah, mid-ish game,
We can
yeah.
probably just comment on it as
Sure.
well, what we're seeing and how it's different from what people have seen in the beta specifically.
Sure, you want.
Sure, yeah, I can go. So if you played to the Vermilius Gap, the journey is still very isolated to yourself, right? And your sand bike, and you have a small base.
Oh, I'm
As you're
building
moving into the
fucking
next
tanks,
areas
bro.
like the Hugget, or this is the Rift, right?
The
You unlock
Theta-Keen
buggy.
Fortress
The great thing about the buggy is
will
you can
have
start mining
the greatest armament.
and
I can possibly get
resource requirement as
in
you
the
go
game.
further and further into
I
the game
will
is more intense.
hunt
But the buggy
everything I
and
need to
systems
do
like that allow
to
you
make my
to,
fortress
increase the harvest
impregnable.
rate also.
Yep.
And this is a fantastic part, right? Just
Yeah.
moving around, going to the different resources, either switching.
It is by
yourself
will
to the
alone I
turret,
set
or
my
if you have
mind
a
in
friend,
motion. It is by
having
the
a
juice of
friend,
Safu that thoughts
command
acquire
the mind.
speed, the lips acquire stains, stains become a warning. It is by will
Yeah,
alone I
the
set my
buggy's a
mind in
multi-seat
motion.
vehicle, right? So when you get to the mid game, it's good to start crafting that, right? And then you can get out there and you can harvest. It has a huge inventory space as well.
That's
compared
nice.
to like the sand bike or what the players. Can
That'll
carry.
make it easy
Our
for
philosophy
us
is
to build
designed
the
with
fortress
game. Like, I've
then.
seen people asking for more inventory space on their character, but our philosophy of design for the game was that you build vehicles and they become your inventory space. You can see.
This is how you would do it in real life too. So like, I don't understand why people were so
how
concerned.
big this is and how much volume it can hold. So the buggy really is like your mining vehicle of choice as you get into the mid game. And if you're playing with friends, someone's on the turret, someone's in the driver's seat. You can have a friend in the passenger seat as well. You can bring
Show us
multiple
the take.
people.
Show us
But
the
you can
take.
also just,
Show us
like,
the take.
Do this alone. Jump between seats. In the interaction menu, you just select I want to drive now. I want to sit in the turret seat and mine. But I want to talk a little bit about this location because we're in this place called the Haga Rift, and as you can see, it's this dark, gloomy. It's basically a geological ditch. And Herbert talked about this in the book. He talked
Yes, he
about
did.
The folk of Pan and
He did.
Graven.
Yep.
And this Graven
Yep.
are these big ditches, these big
Yep.
chasms
Yep.
that you have on Dune.
He's absolutely
Arrakis.
correct.
And in here, it's like the sunlight doesn't really penetrate to the bottom.
No, it
And
doesn't.
down here, there's
It
been
can't
this
even reach the
ongoing
bottom.
war of attrition between
Yes,
the
there
Imperium
is.
and the Harkonnen.
Oh my
Over
god.
this shipwreck, which is central to this area. And then as you come up out of the Haga Rift, you come back into these other areas of the map, and it's like it's a different style and tone to the desert.
dedication
And I know
to the
people
lore.
have been concerned, or at least been worried that like everything's one biome, but as you go down into the Rift, you feel
No,
it's a
Arrakis
very
has multiple
place.
different
And
biomes.
shout out to our world director Jeff. Like one of his big key points about the world was making sure that we had a lot of verticality, and I think Haga Rift is like an absolutely perfect example of how you can just keep going down and down through these galleries, and there's bases built up through the entire side. It's just this really fun place to be.
It's like, make it deeper, make it deeper.
Exactly.
I remember he mentioned that.
And this is where all the lights come into play. So headlights on vehicles, personal lights on players come in. At this point, this is where you start bringing things, and yeah, it's fun.
And it's so huge because then you fly into the ornithopter too. It's like
Yes.
wide, and yeah, it's really fun to explore that way too.
And the music and the setting and the
Yeah.
atmosphere when you're down, right? You've been in the harsh desert.
There's just
you've
two
been in the
Funcom
like,
employees
the
currently
lights,
playing the game
the
right there.
entire time,
And you're
going
just like,
from shadow to shadow.
well,
to
we're not
preserve
part
light.
of the stream,
When
but
you
we get
down
to
there,
play.
the team's done a very good job of just setting the atmosphere. Feels almost cool.
Is
when
that
you're,
it?
when you're down there.
That's our base in the distance there too.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
where we're heading. So you can see the wreckage of like the wall. You can see that's a deserter base. Like because of the war of attrition that's been happening here, some of the Atreides and Harkonnen have deserted, and they've set up little camps
Interesting
around here, and they
base.
create, like they're obviously hazardous. But now we're coming to a base that we created for this, and this is the Atreides base building set.
Yeah.
I agree.
kind
The
of-
chest
I think
buggy
it's
thing
like-
is crazy.
Oh, woo, this is a great example of what you can do outside of the square blocks that everybody was seeing in beta because they had access to the first.
Look at that wheel.
Yeah.
Boing, 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 boing,
as you
boing,
get into
boing,
the
boing, boing.
game, You start building up your infrastructure, and that's just as important as your equipment or your vehicles. So even if you lose a vehicle, right? Like you make your buggy and.
Oh, you're
you
not
make your
showing that
infrastructure,
wheel? Okay.
like
You
the-
waited until the wheel was
infrastructure
fixed.
will
I
let
see
get
you.
back on your feet.
I
So
see you, Funcom.
first.
Yeah, that wheel wasn't a
Can we
very
s-
good
Can we
example.
stop for a second and show a pro tip here? I
Yeah.
really want to pro tip something. So, can someone go
Absolutely.
and use a chest?
Yes. Oh, you want to mention my favorite thing?
So if you go to the wait, is that a chest? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Go to. So if you're in a chest in the game and you have a vehicle anywhere on your land claim, you can go to the top of the inventory on the left there where it says backpack. Where it says backpack on the left-hand side. Driving up there.
up
Yep.
there,
And
yeah.
click the
Yes.
drop down, and you can select the vehicle storage. This is a massive quality of life for getting things in and out of your vehicles. Because we see that we know it's a little
It's
bit
just
busy. It's
standard.
not the easiest
That's-
thing to find. But
this
once you
is-
know about this, it ups your quality of life.
This is why I trust them. This.
Life in the game immensely because you can just drive in with a buggy full of stuff, go into your base, click any chest, click on the storage drop down, and start taking things out of the back of that that vehicle.
It's something that the beta tester suggested, isn't it? Like directly?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was something
Yep.
people were asking for during the closed beta, and we
Exactly.
implemented
And the
it.
fact that they listen
That
and
I
they
mentioned before.
look how quick. Okay, in the closed beta, and then they implemented it. Do you know how difficult that actually is in game development to implement something so fucking quickly? That means you have a team of people that are doing the game development the right way, because normally in AAA development, you'll see all of these delays, mainly because of the thing that I discussed the other day called tech debt, which is where you allow the issues with the tech to build up so fucking much that it becomes a problem. We saw this in Conan. They took an entire year off to fix the issues. That was another reason why I trust them. But the fact that in 5 months, they were able to implement all of the changes suggested by the closed beta, fuck yes. That means they're listening to us and they're executing immediately.
But we have that too. You don't have to empty your chest before you can move them.
Oh, exactly.
That's
yeah.
just like that's
Yes.
just a complete mind-blowing quality of life change to me. That's like so nice.
Yeah. So the game works in these phases of like, in the beginning, you need a sandbike to get off walking around, right? Then you move to the phase where you want a buggy to help you to harvest and gather resources. And then you move to the phase where you want to start building your first ornithopter. And so we have an example of this here. And the vehicle building in the game is very cooperative, right? You can see that these different, we're now adding permissions to allow people to help us to work on this ornithopter.
Yog!
Because, these guys are all in a group. And so people can cooperatively build. And of course, I think this is the medium, the assault ornithopter, as we call it. So it's the medium tier. But the largest ornithopter, the transport ornithopter, also requires, a lot of parts and a lot of people. So it's kind of part of the way we designed this was to make sure that we had this collaborative building system in the game, both for buildings and for vehicles.
This is my favorite part of the game, just the building the vehicles actually physically in the world, right? Putting the pieces there, working with your friends to make all the parts of them, and then like mixing and matching the different modules.
I'm so
to make the
excited.
vehicle, fit the role that you want to use the vehicle with for that moment.
Yeah, and vehicles come with different module sets, right? So you can put inventories on some. You can, like we talked about the buggy. You can actually have a rocket turret on top of the buggy, which I think you saw in the combat trailer earlier. Yeah. You saw the buggy firing rockets. So you can have different types of things on the different vehicles, and we'll continue to expand that post-launch as well, making the vehicles more and more useful with utility.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, it's fun, right? And then I guess the other side of this is that we can start talking about variants and swatches, which is our customization system.
He's actually going to change in a second. We'll actually see that.
So
there we go.
Yeah.
So this
Atreides ornithopter.
These guys are aligned with the Atreides.
Boo.
So here we just switched out the Atreides. And a variant, just to put the distinction
No,
in place,
Natasha,
a swatch
don't
allows you to change
boo.
the color sets, but a variant allows you to change the physical visual.
The actual
so this
model,
this is the shape of the Atreides. It's got the hawk-like lines. It's got the sharp angles.
Boo.
And
I can't snooze my ads anymore.
Insectile kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
And so this is and you earn these variants in this case by leveling up in the factions, which is a part of the mid game, which we aren't really showing a ton of that today. But as you join a faction, go through their quest lines, you earn access to these kind of variants and things like that. And then you're able to use the Atreides colors and swatches and variants.
Yeah, both on vehicles and your armor.
That's a heavy.
Vehicles, armors.
You can represent with your Harkonnen clothes, running in the deep depths.
Because light scouting ornithopters only have
it's important to
two,
note that the philosophy around this was as well. Like you create
two
so let's say you create a
firefly wings.
tier 4. Like
This is like a
mid-tier
cargo.
armor set, and it's like a scout armor. You can variant swap that to look like any other scout armor.
I'm
in the
so
game. You can't
excited
turn it into
for
a
this,
heavy
yeah.
armor or a combat armor, because we want people to understand in PvP what they're fighting. But you can change it into any other visual of a scout armor, and it's the same with social clothing. It's the same with, obviously combat armor, and it's the same with still suits, which I mentioned, which are kind of major armor.
Did you see that?
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say social scout, combat, and still suits.
Yeah. And what they're showing right now is the vulture mode and the ornithopters. So ornithopters are great, right? Because you have your helicopter mode where you can move in all directions. You can switch to the vulture mode, and then it's more of like a glider where you're going up and down to gain speed.
Yep. Yeah,
It's
so-
basically a airplane mode and a helicopter mode, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
Sort of.
it's like a hover mode and a glide
Yeah.
mode, right?
Yeah.
And the vulture mode allows you to be more maneuverable. You see that they have a boost module. Actually, this is fun. Like when you get to too high an altitude, you start increasing your fuel consumption, which prevents people from going too high in the game. Also good to know for people who want to stay, close to the ground.
I am going to learn how to
and
do
now we're flying through
Orny
an area of the
combat
map known as the Shield
so
Wall, which
fucking
is
well.
on the para-northern side of the Hager
Yeah.
Basin. We can talk about the para-directions at some point, because that's always awkward and weird. But because para-north is really south in relative terms to the map. But this
Yeah.
is like, these are rocky areas, so the sandworm is less of a threat up here, but the enemies are much harder, and the resources you gather up here are much more value, right, to what you're doing. So these are areas where you harvest.
And the
yeah.
first time you're coming here, you don't actually have an ornithopter. More than likely,
Yes.
you don't, right? So
Yes.
then you're having to make the choice of like,
I've
do you
never
bring the buggy
seen this
here, which is
territory.
really high, really hard to get to, or do you go with your sand bike?
What is that?
Climb up the wall. So it's ultimately it's about choice. How
What
you
is
get
that?
To the biomes, and then which vehicles you bring, right? Which enable different mechanics based on the one you want.
Yeah, and
No,
like
no,
this
no,
area
turn
right
back!
now is known as
Turn
the Udom
back!
as well, and the Udom has a little
Turn
more
back!
plant growth
Yeah.
and a little more greenery, and that's because the Udom is an area where they were doing experiments on some of the land, and we won't talk too much about it. But yeah, we're gonna fly over. I guess this is
our second base.
this is our
yes.
second base on the shield wall. Yeah, so this is the
Lots of pens
guild
shields.
base. So this is further into the game. People have progressed a bit. They're probably so we divide the game into 4 phases: survive, protect, expand, and control. So this would be here. You're either on the expand or the control part of the game. The sort of last 2 phases, right? So you've got a bigger guild. You're working with a larger group of people potentially. You can still play the game solo at this point. Everything just takes a little longer and is a little harder to do on your own, right? And you can still do it. You can craft these ornithopters. There's no problem. But we encourage people to.
This is what our
to
base
get
is
it
going to
working
end
together
up
in a
looking like
multiplayer
with
game.
a
You were
landing
showing off
on
some
the
building
main
sets you've never
guild.
shown before.
Yes.
These
Yes.
were the Twitch drops.
These are
Yes,
Twitch drops. Yeah.
exactly. So
Oh,
the
these
one
you
that
can get
are-
from
this is
watching
actually
me.
that once Chome building set, but those round windows and the ceiling pieces, pretty much everything that's more metal than like
Yeah.
white stone, those are actually going to be Twitch drops that you will get. So they kind of expand on the existing Chome tier set, which I love them. I think they're very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
They're really cool looking.
Yeah, and you can see what we'd expect a guild base to look like, right? Lots of production going on. It was something that we were really like pushy on in the game development, making sure that the fabricators actually show the items being
Right.
crafted as they
Yeah.
craft, so you see them
So cool.
form up.
It's
in
not
the
as
fabrication
easy
units.
as you
Yes,
think it
I know
is.
This isn't
Can-
exactly something from Dune lore.
Can I just be clear on this? Making that particle effect where a item is occluded by, say, like, you can do it multiple different ways, but where it appears in a different particle context and appears slowly but surely, it's not easy.
This is one of the places where I was like, I have to make.
It's very
concessions to the
impressive.
game. They don't have fabricators. They're not mentioned in the law, but it's fine.
They
This is
don't.
cool.
Cool.
They
Well,
don't
cool
have
in some
fabricators.
Absolutely.
But we can pretty much assume that they probably did have fabricators because they made stuff. And we already have fabricators right now. We have 3D printers that can fabricate real mechanical parts, working mechanical parts. And I don't see why we wouldn't in the future have a similar thing.
This is a vehicle fabricator, yeah.
There's also circuits. Have we ever talked about circuits before?
Nope, not actively. You can
Okay.
please feel free.
They're pretty neat. It's not like as intense as like Factorio, right? Making blue science or anything like that. But you are able to set up different circuits in your base, so you can have some containers feeding into some fabricators feeding into others. You'll never have 100% automation like you get in a factory builder game, but it does enable you as you get to mid game to start having a fair bit of automation.
That's
in the game
very
as well,
nice.
Because water,
Very nice
and
indeed.
electricity become quite a burden if you don't start upgrading your gear and the infrastructure like we were talking about before. So we introduced passive ways to get water, which is a huge help because water in the mid and to the end game even is really important through all aspects, not just survival but also crafting.
For my fellow lore nerds out there, we call the passive water generation wind traps.
I was just about to say there are actually some wind traps on this, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've seen some while we walked by them as well. And yeah, it's just like
Oh, the plants! Look at the plants!
How much bigger those
And
refineries
books!
are. We also saw a spice refinery as well, actually. Like
Yeah, there was
the
spice
round- the round
refineries, yeah,
tubes. Yep.
Yeah, and that we just saw a room with some decorations in it as well.
Yeah, we
like just to you can pimp up your area in a sense, like put out holograms. It was quite funny because here's a fun anecdote from development. The artist
no.
made a bunch of the artist made a bunch of pot plants.
She's saying oh no because she's the head of the public relations team, and Joel has stuck his foot in his mouth so many fucking times now. That's why she's saying oh no.
Oh,
For people to put in their bases,
no.
and I was like, guys, it's June.
There is no water to water those
So we have a
things
lot of holograms
in your
planted now.
buildings. Yeah,
I was like,
they
we
look
can
great
have.
though.
Then I keep saying the word holograms. Sorry, everyone. Solido projections.
Solido projections.
Solido projections of
You'd be
plants.
yelling at yourself.
Oh my god, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad if I
You're like-
wasn't me right now.
If you like decorations, you need to explore quite a
Rumor has it that Joel and all of the team basically were under strict guidance to immerse themselves in the lore and refer to the items as their proper names, such as Solido projections, Karpovs, and disruptors instead of SMGs, rifles, and holograms.
a bit,
Yep.
right? You know, we don't unlock them all.
Yes.
Go to trade posts, go to places where there are people. You can unlock tons of the stuff that you're seeing around
Mhm.
this
Yes.
here.
Exactly.
You have to work a little bit for
You'd
it.
have to work a
though.
little
bit
Yes.
for it, yeah.
Like explore, find people that
Yeah,
sell you
and
stuff.
and obviously these doors,
Or-
the pentashield doors and things as well. Like once you reach a certain stage in June, you can put shielded doors out, so you don't have to have doors that open and close.
Exactly.
And that's really useful for when you want you have flying hangers, you don't have
Ooh.
to wait for a door to open.
Some of the cool stuff I've seen in beta is they will make a huge base, but it's kind of covering a road. So they'll open up
yep.
the middle of it and then set the permissions on the pinto shields so that you can actually drive
Public,
through it. So
yes.
you can't go into their base, but you can still go through the middle of their
Yes.
base. which
Yeah,
is
that's
nice.
cool.
It's nice.
Yeah, I agree.
Good guy players.
Good guy players, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're actually gonna go.
And the bad
up
guy
to the roof
players
now
we will
and
murder.
build a transport
Oh,
ornithopter,
nice.
Great.
which.
A carry-all.
Okay, not yet.
No, we're not.
Excuse me.
No, we're not. We're
We're
wrong.
gonna run
Excuse
around the
me,
base a little
not
bit
wrong.
more.
We're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
we're still
Oh.
doing other things.
That's in. Yeah. Okay.
But
few ornithopters.
What
hovering
we'd
around.
like to do is, because we're actually going to go to a social hub later on, and we'd like to throw that to, unfortunately we can do only Twitch, so I'm sorry YouTube, we love you over there too. It's just our bot is being a bit difficult, so we'd like to do a poll, throw that to Twitch chat only for today. Which of the social hubs you'd like to see? We have 2 available in the game.
Arakeen! Arakeen!
Right.
Arakeen! Arakeen!
One is
Arakeen!
Arakeen, the other one is Hardco, and you can choose which of those you'd like to see today. So we
Arakeen,
give you,
Arakeen,
like, a few
Arakeen,
minutes
Arakeen,
to vote on
Arakeen,
that
Arakeen,
while,
Arakeen.
Our rock stars and wizards behind the scenes are preparing that poll for you, if it's not running already. And yeah, we can talk a little bit.
One of the cool things that they were just showing there is the vehicle backup tool.
Yes.
I don't know if we've talked about that on stream too much, but once you've built a sand bike, or
And you
a
can
light
take
one,
your
you can
ornithopter
actually build a tool
and your
to
vehicle
hide it.
backup tool. That's really fucking nice.
What's the lore reason, Joel?
Let's go with the Richie's perfected miniaturization. and
The Richezaic perfected miniaturization tech. That's great. That's a great joke. I love that
player is able
joke.
to miniaturize their vehicle. And
Oh
it
my
only- it
God.
only works for vehicles that have nothing in their inventory.
Correct. Yeah.
And 2 types of vehicle: the sand
Richese.
and the light scout ornithopter.
Yeah.
Oh, we're flying past.
Highly recommend always using it. Right when
Yes.
you're going to a location,
Yes.
land, store your vehicle.
They're hiding things.
I learned that the hard way myself too, so I will never do that mistake ever.
They're hiding things on
I see we've
purpose.
gone with spoiler territory here, and we're flying over the giant power station of Misatariel.
Don't look.
I don't want
Holy fuck! Holy fuck! Holy fuck!
to talk too much about it, but we'll let people figure that out in the game.
It looks cool. from
It's my
afar,
favorite
so it's like-
location.
Me
It's-
too.
It's
Mine
really
too.
absolutely amazing.
Mine too.
And the
Mine
story
too.
involved in it is
So
really cool.
please look forward to
Yeah.
it.
And there we have someone doing their vulture roll, which is very nice. Can you hit your scanner as well, whoever's flying?
I'm not sure to do that. Oh,
Yeah, so like that's vehicles obviously get like players got hand scanners probably in the beta, but now you're up to the stage where you actually have a.
They're gonna show us how they land at
islands by pumping C. So the idea is that again, as you progress, everything just takes a step up.
I thought they were gonna
How
show us
quickly you can do things.
a
We want the
hub
game to feel,
landing.
Well, you've put in the effort to get.
Oh,
that
that's
vehicle.
cool.
We're going to give you the convenience of being able to scan an entire island, very quickly, right?
Yeah.
This is a trade post. This is the Crossroads trade post.
Look at the pole. It's super tight. I love that. Like right now, Arcane is slightly winning. So let's.
Arcane.
Village is cooler.
Arcane. 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 Show us Arcane.
Evil person,
I
and you
am.
like Harkonnens.
I am just like
Something
evil
about
for
that
life.
whipping noise.
No.
Come
The
on.
fun part is I always try to go evil in like games.
It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of sap food that thoughts acquire speed, the lips acquire
So these
stains,
are the
stains
pilots that
become
were
a warning.
disabled
It is
in the
by
beta.
will
You may
alone
have
I
met
set
one
my
of the
mind
first
in
trade
motion.
posts if you're playing.
And we're going to Arcane, by the way.
We're going to
Arcane
Arcane?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and visit Arcane. All right, that's cool. The pilot only takes cash. So you can't have credit. You have to have cash. So we're heading to Arcane.
She doesn't use it on sunscreen, that's for sure, because she was really sunburned. Like,
She doesn't use it on sunscreen, that's for sure. That's hilarious.
get that out there. Yes. But yeah, you need to have the cash on you as well.
One of the features in the game that we haven't really spoken about too much. I mean, well, we have a bit. We've spoken, but I don't think people picked it up in the beta. Oh, here we go. Well, I'll let us arrive because this is cool. This is Arcane. And as we arrive in Arcane, so one of the features we have in the game is the CommuniNet system. And when a player opens their CommuniNet, they can choose radio stations to listen to in the game, a la like a Fallout game or a GTA game. And this
Sorry,
guy,
I'm
Gary, he runs
tearing
this,
up
this
here.
trash shop, but he actually has a show on the Atreides radio. And if you listen to the show, it's his daughter talking about their adventures on how they got all this salvage that shows up. So it's kind of fun to just like narratively listen. You know, we tried to connect everything in the world. This is again, I want to make this point because I feel like I see it sometimes online, and it's a little, let's say, disheartening. People, we were advertising the game and saying the word MMO, and then people were like, oh, they took all that off, and we took it off because we do feel like this is a huge world completely worth exploring with lots of other people. But it's not an MMORPG, and people were getting confused by that.
Yeah.
So we
It is
took
an
it down.
MMO,
I think
but
it's clear when you look at places like our social hubs, our exchange system,
It's
our
an
banking
MMO.
system.
It's not
that
an
we have a lot of
MMORPG,
elements
I
of those
don't
style
think.
of games here, right?
But it is an
So,
MMO.
yeah, we're looking at the exchange right now.
An MMORPG tends to
There's
have
compositions on the
thousands.
exchange, and this is the banker.
One of the great things here is you can actually store items and credits, right? So say you're going to take a long vacation, you're worried about your
Hold
getting
on.
destroyed for some reason.
There we
you
go.
just
That's
fly
what
to
I
Arcane
need.
And dump a bunch of stuff in here.
I was actually thinking is like one of the great things here is his mustache.
Yeah,
That's also
Expecting it to
fantastic.
comment on the mustache.
I mean, we've all seen the
Fantastic mustache. You also pay taxes here.
Yes.
Like because
Yeah.
you need to like for the bigger
Gotta keep your
sub
shields
fees, you
up.
actually need to make sure you have your taxes paid to the
and this is where you pay. This is the
Emperor.
imperial consulate, as we call it. This is where you go to pay your taxes to the Imperium. So the first sub-fief console that you place on Arrakis, the basic one that you place in the starting area, you don't have any taxes to pay on that. But once you get a bit further into the game and you start building bigger bases, you pay taxes. Once you start expanding that land claim, which you do through these land claim extenders, you start paying more tax. So the idea is that the larger guilds who have more members, who are more capable of like
2,000 Solari, that's not
achieving things in the game,
a
they
problem
have
at
a higher
all.
tax rate because they're building out larger bases, and that
Not a problem
that's
at
our
all.
way of making it fair for people who only play solo as well, like so they don't have as much tax to pay.
The other important thing about the cities is that's where you really progress through the faction storylines, right? So here's where you're going to come and officially join the Atreides or join the Harkonnens and you know, start vying for the land's red system and getting involved in the politics of the entire world.
And this is where the advanced trainers are as well.
Yeah.
For people who want to progress past the basic level of training in their particular chosen classes.
God,
Oh, Derek, the
it looks
Planetologist, he's
amazing.
everywhere.
He's just traveling around.
He's everywhere.
He's a wandering mentor. You can find him
uh,
anywhere.
Yeah, he's here. He's there. He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Derek Schneider. Okay, no, enough. Sorry.
It's okay. No, but you have contracts here, of course, as well, and
contracts,
specific
yeah.
vendors, so they have.
AKA the
access
Hermit
as
Hub.
well.
Yes.
Yep.
And the main story brings you to these locations as well.
Yes.
This is
So
where
now
survival
we,
hermit's gonna end up spending a lot of time.
Yes. So you can use the pilots in the trade post to
No, show
fly
me
to the hubs like we showed, and you use those same pilots to get back. But once you have your own ornithopter, you can just fly to the edge of the Haga Basin map, and you'll get a prompt asking you if you'd like to go to the overland map. And this is the overland map. And this is again
water shipper's mansion.
kind of breaks us away from
There's
the standard
other
survival game.
thing.
This is where we have
in-
the ability to infinitely expand this game, where we have multiple maps that players can go to. I think this is where you go to reach the deep desert. This is where you go to reach several of the story maps. Right now we've landed on a fuel deposit. We're just picking up a bit of fuel, refueling our ornithopter on there. We're able to expand here for a long time, and this is kind of part of what, again, we wanted to do to make this a coherent universe, right? And
Which
make
is
Dune feel
excellent.
like something that,
Excellent
we've
design.
been working on and adding to
Excellent,
for a long time.
excellent
Post-launch,
design.
there'll be new locations that show up here.
Yes.
We'll have events that have locations here for short durations, right? For to shake things up, and eventually
Guys.
when we release huge content drops, they'll be accessible through the overland.
Through
map.
the overland map.
Exactly. One other thing that you can find in the overlap map, which also goes into the story, that we really would like to talk a little bit more about, because we haven't, as you mentioned, it takes a while to also get the story going. So people during the beta weekend haven't actually seen much of that.
Yeah.
So via the overlap map, you can also access some of these story dungeons. And we actually have some footage of one of those dungeons that await you. And Joel and Scott can probably give a little bit of context what we're seeing.
Part of Act 2.
So here we're not going to spoil too much of the story, but this is kind of the theme of Act 2. Right? You've moved from a survivor doing the trials, now you're getting involved in the politics.
The kitten is back.
Yeah, so there's a lot more interaction with NPCs, dialogue, a lot more cinematics, and a lot of locations outside the Haga Basin that you'll be going to.
One of my favorite characters too.
Yeah,
I love her. Everyone does.
In the
kind
Cone of Silence.
We didn't mention the Cone of Silence, but you're inside the Cone of Silence here, and the game actually dampens all the sound outside of it when you enter, which is pretty cool.
To be distributed in the water supply of this water shipper. The active
That's a clever.
What is that, by the way? I actually don't know what
The
that
Assassin's
is.
Handbook describes certain poisons.
Cholmiki.
is poison in the poison.
Cholmiki.
That's actually
Yeah.
something I didn't know. Like I was wondering about that earlier. Like I didn't know what that term is.
So you see we have a dialogue system in the game where you can make choices based on several of the things that you've done in the game
brilliant.
as well. Your background at the start has some payoff here.
This water shipper is wealthy.
Again, it's not like, we're not making an Obsidian RPG with all of the choices. It's something like that, but we're doing a level of this that's above and beyond what most survival games do, I think.
And you will be interacting with some Dune characters that people
Well, look
are
at her
familiar
last
with.
name.
Yeah,
Dune
yeah.
fans probably recognize already that last
Tuik!
name.
Yep.
Thufer!
All right, so we're skipping ahead here. We've jumped to the part of the mission where you're heading towards the water shipper's mansion, which is in the
Tuik.
Imperial Basin just outside of Arakeen. The player is being sent
Interesting.
there to assassinate and poison this water shipper
It's gonna be
on
crazy.
behalf of Alara Tuek. And so we come to this new level on the overland map.
Yeah, so your job is to infiltrate,
Yes. Yeah, she's talking and explaining the mission.
Spoilers.
I can't hear it, so I'm just. But
one of the things we wanted to do is make sure all the abilities still work in these, so it is
Yes.
still very sandboxy.
yeah,
There will always be multiple approaches. You
Yeah.
know, if you have a Shigawire Claw, you can use that to grappling hook over some areas. If not, then you're gonna have to be a little bit more stealthy and avoid the searchlights.
Let's see if this sounds better.
Spoilers.
There we go. Much better.
yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where our philosophy is like we give people all these tools, but it's a sandbox. Play the way you want to play. Like here, it's we have to find a guy called Yargan who's her contact. And so like,
Sacrifice them!
we're quite nice to people. You might get spotted, but you can escape the lights quickly.
Yeah.
That's the one we found here.
You can read the dialogue here. It's fun. One of those ones.
And again, depending on your background, they actually get different choices to to the dialogue.
Character creation is important.
Yes.
Ha!
Guys, he's a grumpy guy.
I agreed to help Alara with this. It was because her old man got me out of a few scrapes back in the day. But if you get caught, we ain't met.
Especially when he talks about the place.
Got it?
You'll appreciate this option.
Good. Then ask your questions.
It's like, so which background?
Guarded like a princess's virtue.
Which background do you have to get that option now?
That one's for everyone for free.
It's for everyone. That's for free. Okay, there you go. I love that we have it in a video too. But there's so many little Easter eggs and fun things that you also wrote, like especially also for like weapon
weapon
descriptions.
descriptions,
It's
item
super
descriptions.
fun. Like everything's connected. Like for those of you who do like lore and who know Dune lore as well, you will find a lot of connections. But also for the ones who don't, it's super fun to just.
He's also
find
explaining
things.
the different ways that you can approach this quest right now. So he's sort of explaining to you, there's like 2 paths that you can take. Like you don't have to go this way, you don't have to go that way. Here's how you can get in, there's how you can get in, right? So as a player, you can approach this, again, in kind of that sandbox approach. It's like, again, I don't want to oversell it. It's not an immersive sim where you have like the Dishonored level of, but you can definitely find alternate paths into the mansion to achieve your mission. And I think that like a shout out to the story content team with Bernard and the boys, as I call them. They've done a great job with these, setting them up. And here's what Scott was talking about, where I've set the game up in this way. I'm a Bene Gesserit. I'm just going to stun this guy, and then I'll be able to walk past him, and he won't even notice me. He won't call up. He won't call the guards because he doesn't see me, right? And so you can use your abilities, your skills that you've picked up in the game to just pass through these areas, and yeah, it's kind of fun, right? And we just wanted to show that we have more than just the basic survival game. There's way more going on here.
Yeah, especially like I think it takes about let's assume you ignore everything else because there's a lot of choices for you how you want to approach Dune Awakening and what there's to do. But let's assume you're only going for the main story and like those cinematics and things. So it takes you. I did talk to Niels about it as well. It takes about 30 hours until the story really gets going.
Yeah, if you're playing by yourself, just experiencing all the survival elements and going at it alone. Yeah, probably 30 hours to get to part 2.
Yeah, it's deliberately like. I'm not defensive about Act 1, but the first part of the game is deliberately somewhat light, just to give people that learn the world, acclimatize yourself, follow up.
That's
on
how
the
it
Fremen
should.
and have the Fremen try.
Again, they're doing it right. All of the things he's stating are the precise way that you should be designing a game like this, like step by step. And I truly believe it's because they have such great experience.
Trials, and it's super interesting, and then we start introducing and layering the politics of the universe and more of this stuff and more of your personal story, like what's going on, why are you the one being asked to do this, what's happening, right?
And ultimately, it is a survival game first, right?
Yes.
So the player needs to learn how to survive in Arrakis, right? And it's a very harsh environment. There's a lot of mechanics to figure out, and then you have to make your way through there and figure out how to get outside of the Haga Basin right before you can experience more of the politics and intrigue that are going on.
Exactly. And I really love that we have, the beginning of the game is kind of story driven, right? You get context to where you, a little bit of context what's actually happening. You have a person that talks to you and helps you at the beginning, and then as you mentioned, it goes more into learning the actual mechanics and the tutorialization of the game. And we give you time to get a bit acquainted with everything, or not everything, but a lot of the things, like the basic mechanics, and then we approach you again with the story a bit later on. And I really love that too.
I love this guy, but we're cutting now because we're not going to spoil too much of what's going on.
No, exactly. So obviously we don't want to show too much. There's more to this dungeon. What we're going to do now, though, is we're actually going to watch another video that's going to lead us into our next segment. So enjoy.
Cool.
She's using a Surface.
Intense.
given the right lever, you can move a planet. In Dune Awakening, your path to power leads you through the great houses. But only accomplished guilds may earn their place among the Atreides or Harkonnen. Swear your allegiance and contribute to their rise in desert power. The pledge is only the beginning. You have come far, and now it's time to take control of the Landsraad. The Landsraad is the council of great houses that make decisions that impact all the players on all the servers in your world. Your goal, and that of your guild, is to secure their votes so that your faction, the Harkonnen or Atreides, can take control. To secure their votes and sway them to your side, you must complete specific house requirements on the Landsraad board. Alone or together with your guild, your efforts can move the needle. Be the first to fulfill a house requirement to not only secure their vote, but also reap their many rewards. Whether you enjoy PvE or PvP, there are many paths to victory.
Or both.
If you prefer the relative safety of the shield wall, there are many activities that will not put you into direct conflict with other players, while still contributing to your faction's rise to power. House Torvald wants you to eliminate sandflies. Rush in, or pick off the deserters one by one with your sniper rifle. House Rashis wants a delivery of ground cars. Join up with friends and build strongholds for large-scale production, and deliver them safely to the House representative by ground or air. Large-scale production is costly and will require a lot of resources. To be able to craft certain
This is where we're gonna have the guild's help.
After resource of all,
Water and spice.
Spice. You can buy spice from spice merchants or on the player-run exchange. And it can even be found in smaller pockets behind the shield wall.
Don't use your bikes to go to a spice field. That's a terrible idea.
You must venture
You'll die.
into the unknown.
Yes! Yes!
The deep desert beckons. Here, violent Coriolis storms sweep across the vast expanse of sand, resetting the map every week, revealing new resources to mine and points of interests to explore.
Oh my god!
This ever-changing environment offers endless exploration, but also endless conflict. Each house in the Landsraad desires a specific control point in the deep desert. Seize it and hold it over time to gain their vote. Fortify it and be ready for a fight. Other players will soon come to take it from you.
Yes, they will. Those visuals, I know.
The deep desert is also home
Oh
to
my
frequent
god!
spice groves, offering large quantities of the precious melange. You need a lot of spice. Once you've located a spice blow,
Pre-Spice Mass and Spice Blow are part of the Sandworm life cycle. It's the, I think, third phase?
with your life.
Second or third phase. Sand Harvester. Thumper! Oh, guys. Holy fuck! Holy!
After a week of politics, manufacturing, and conflict. One side emerges victoriously. The Harkonnen have seized the Landsraad, and the leaders of the player guilds who contributed to their victory.
Holy fuck, bro.
Impact everyone on a server belonging to that world. They choose to unlock exclusive weapon imports rights. By decree of the Landsraad Council, under the seal of His Imperial Majesty,
Shaddam the
a trade
Fourth
consortium has been authorized to visit Arrakis, providing Harkonnen players with exclusive access to a unique weapons vendor in Harko Village.
That's a small one. That's a small one. That's a baby sandworm. What just happened? What just happened? Technical difficulties.
It's welcome back. No technical problems at all. It's all fine. No one would have noticed if you didn't say anything, Scott.
Sorry. Pretty sure I couldn't hear it, but I'm pretty sure it cut off mid-VO.
It
So.
probably did. Yes, I can hear it either. But the video is going to be...
You can tell he's a
available on
game
YouTube
dev with
anyway, so you can watch
him
it
saying,
all
I'm pretty
the
sure
way,
it cut off mid-VO.
Talk about Landsraad. So let's go to the next segment.
Yeah.
Endgame and Landsraad. So we know people have, of course, expectations of what the Endgame and Landsraad, and especially Deep Desert, looks like, and what it's for, and how people will use the Deep Desert, and how it works. A lot of those things. But I think before we go into more details and show some really exciting gameplay as well, Joel, I think it'd be cool to talk about the vision for what the end game is supposed to be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like, going back to when I joined the project, like, so this is 5 years ago, right? And we were talking about what is a good survival game, like, because Dune, we were making a Dune survival game, and we were talking about what is the vision for an end game in Dune. And the kind of the goal and the idea, at least in the beginning, was like we started with, hey, like you start by surviving in the desert, and it's that raw nature versus mankind kind of thing. It's the sun, it's the sandworms, it's the storms. But then you move into this new mode of survival, which is political survival, which is the end game of the game needs to be about these big forces, right? The Imperium is made up of the great houses, the Landsraad, the Emperor, the Spacing Guild, Chome, all of these things have influence, and you as a player are just a small cog in the machine, but we want you to be able to feel like you're participating in this big umbrella system. And so we started there, and then we talked about, like, there's an element of, like, I think very technical game design here where we talk about player activity cycles through the week. I was looking at, like, games like Rust. Rust has their server resets, which is great for, like, people to start building up, and people really enjoy that cycle. But a lot of people also love having their stuff and not losing it. And so we talked about, like, okay, what about a place, and in Dune it's perfect, right? You have these Coriolis storms, and there's scenes in the book where the sand is just tearing apart cliff faces and ripping down the things in the desert and revealing things from beneath.
There's scenes in the book where it will literally tear down an entire fucking plateau. Like, it's just gone.
And so we said, okay, what if we had a map, the deep desert, and in the deep desert, the landscape changes every week. How does that affect gameplay? And then we started there and we talked about, okay, what about if there's a cycle of events that we want players to go through? And again, this is a high-level design.
We might actually have an infographic or a visual asset for that. A week cycle of...
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Cool. Fun. You guys are on top of things. I know nothing.
No, not that one.
Sorry. That's not that one. But okay. Either way,
maybe it's not right. Maybe we didn't.
I can just keep talking.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Sorry, everyone. I know it's just boring old Joel. But like we wanted to approach this right. So we were like, okay, what if there's a map that resets and the map changes every week, so that it's an infinitely explorable space? And we worked backwards from there, and we said, how do we build a lot of our game systems towards this. So we started with the idea of, yes, the map resets. When would we want to reset the map? Let's say we reset it on the lowest player activity day of the week, right? Which tends to be a Tuesday night or a Wednesday in these kind of online games. And then we're like, okay, and then there's this activity we call scouting and cartography. And then we built a game mechanic around cartography and scouting, which I think we're going to show in a little bit. And that is, and maybe you saw it, we definitely tutorialized it in the beta, you reveal parts of the map. And then we made it so that you can save those maps and sell them to other players. So we create a loop there for players who are scouts, and that happens, let's say, you know, in...
Guys, I'm going to make a prop and send it to Funcom and see if Natasha will put it up on the background.
in a player activity week, it happens during the low ebb. The deep desert gets revealed. Everybody needs information. How do we make information a commodity? We create a cartography and a scouting system. Then once that information is gathered, people share it with their friends and their guilds. Then they start setting up what we call a logistics plan. How am I going to control the spaces in the deep desert that I want to control? What is my guild looking for? Are we looking for spice?
I hope she does
Are we
too.
looking for unique schematics? Are we going after
Doesn't have to.
shipwrecks? Are we going after...
It still would be cool
ecology
to
labs
have
that have been revealed?
even just
Like,
a
what are we
picture
doing
of it
this
in
way?
their
So then they go
office.
set up.
That'd be cool
And
as
then
shit.
The weekend, which is when the highest player activity count is, that's when people are online, and that's where people really participate in the activities in the deep desert, whether that is running ecology labs with their friends or shipwrecks or fighting over like control points in the deep desert. And then after the weekend, I should say, on top of this as an umbrella is the Landsrad. And the Landsrad are asking you to do activities that take place both in the deep desert, but also outside of the deep desert. There's a lot of PvE stuff in there. And then at the end of that activity cycle, everybody votes. It sets a server-wide change, like a worldwide, I think we should say in our terminology. It changes every rule set in the world can be changed by the Landsrad. And then the Coriolis Storm happens again on a Tuesday, and we start over again with a new weekly cycle. And this is kind of the vision and dream for how the end game should play out and how we would like it to work. And yeah,
Thanks for
we're
the
talking
follow,
about
Diana.
set everything up for this to be the case.
Adam the Shia Zanta!
Diana_David00 followed your channel. V Durak Dimby Wax Zamaha. Do you smash a knife before battle?
Talk about it. Yeah?
Yes, let's look at some gameplay. Actually, some activities.
Adam Rashia Zanta.
Wanting to do. So we have
Long live the fighters, Diana. I will be streaming Dune every single day, about 10 hours a day for the first little bit. I will be giving away thumpers and ping boxes and
this is the PvE space.
It was important for us so that
Ornithopter model kit cards
to get engaged with it, right? That they had a place in the deep
Thumper
desert
bookmarks.
that they could go to without, instantly getting killed as soon as you're coming through, like and warping in, right? Gate camping or
Harkonnen Blades.
And this is also where you set up your base of operations.
Yes.
The very first area, because the deep desert is gigantic. There's no water.
I also will be giving away
You need to
5
have
standard
logistics
edition
set
copies
up.
of the game.
You know,
In,
you can go there very fast. I fly there
on the
beta.
5th, the
I,
6th,
you know,
the
stay
7th,
away
the
from
8th,
people.
and the 9th, and then on the
Absolutely
10th,
great.
the
People
pain
go
box
there,
along
people
with the
go
Gom
ratting.
Jabbar.
Yeah, ratting.
You can go in and rat.
Oh, I'm told.
And the pain box and an ultimate edition will be given away.
Absolutely
Rat
right.
raid.
Absolutely.
But just to point out one thing here, because these guys are using. So again, coming back to like how do we get towards this vision? We started with how do you build this is going to get wiped every week. How do we encourage people to build bases? Well, first of all, we created this blueprinting system. You bring the diagram of your base, you place it out, and you build it quickly, right? This is very fast. It doesn't take very long when you're with a few friends. You get a base put down, you build it up quickly. This is part of the logistics cycle of the deep desert.
And you can either bring the resources from Haga Basin and all the vehicles that you're bringing with you, or you can harvest there's quite a bit of resources in the shield wall. You know, so you can set this up.
So this is what's happening here. We're building a forwarding base.
Exactly. I was going to say that this is obviously a forwarding base because it is kind of very boxy again compared to like the actual home bases that we saw earlier. Because this is all about efficiency, right?
Yes.
And like fitting your
I really dislike
the
that other
storages
thing
and
shows
the-
up
the,
while you're
all the
building a
machines that you
hologram.
need, you know, now my
I wish
brain
there
just
was a
stopped
way
working.
to disable that.
Fabricators, thank you.
Yeah, and we made a change, or not a change. It's just the building costs are different in the deep desert, so it costs half as much. to build.
Oh, thank
You don't
God.
need 100% when you're breaking things down. Just because we know you're going to be redoing this every week. There's
Yep.
going to be some loss, right? You know, so we're trying to make it easy and accessible in the ways that we can, while still keeping the threat there.
This is one of my primary priorities in early access,
Yeah, I
is
think
to
that's it,
create a
right?
pillbox
Because it
hologram and
is a
figure
little
that
bit about
out.
That tension as well, that feeling of like, so
Exactly.
we're building here, it's the PvE area. I expect people to build their primary like weekly base in the PvE area, and then maybe set out some logistics bases so that they can do things like refining spice. And that's where it becomes an interesting kind of like, we'll see how people play out these scenarios in the actual deep desert in the game, but this is kind of the expected behavior. This is what we hope people will do. And we've tried to build all the mechanics into place so that people can do this, right? And that's been a large part of it.
You also see co-building here. There's actually several people working on
Yeah,
this.
everyone's working together, right?
Yeah,
And
which
that's
is super nice
That's
too.
the guild focus as well. Like you know, it
Exactly.
is a multiplayer game. It's really important to make sure that people can play together and do things together. And I think it like the fun part in this game and this style of game is that it extends beyond like the traditional MMO experience of like we can fight things together, right? And we can role play together, but you know, you're not building things together, you're not crafting vehicles together, right? We have those options, which is nice.
And it's just cool to see how quick you can use the blueprint system to get like a gigantic base, right?
Yep.
Even though it's utilitarian, right? But yeah, it does what it needs, and it's quite impressive.
Yep.
I know that people are also wondering that you won't be able to, you know, copy that your setup inside. So this is literally, the blueprint is for the building itself. So everything inside.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You still have to put the placeables in.
So
This is
so we're
great.
behind the shield wall. I think we've just left the base.
Direct in Black Zamaha.
And we're
It's just showing a little bit of the PvE area here.
So this
as
is
well.
this is behind the shield wall. We're gonna come out into the deep desert, and this is like I think. Oh yeah, sorry. Behind the shield wall, there's also PVE elements here. This is the PVE space.
Yep.
So there are things like shipwrecks that you can raid. There are like eco labs behind here. So there is a section of the deep desert. I know people are really worried about doing PvP. There's a whole section here. It's 24 kilometers long, where you can actually go and like do the PvE part. And we're about to see. Well, this will take a few seconds.
We're actually
survey
We're in the middle of the
just
survey.
surveying
So now we're surveying the land in this section, and we'll see the segment reveal itself. And this is like one of the PvE segments of the deep desert. And what you'll see here is
Good,
that
there
we
are
surveyed
PvE
one square.
segments.
And just to give some context, that's one of 81 squares within this map. So there are 81 of these squares. It's huge.
Yeah.
There
We're
are
actually also seeing the sync chart that you mentioned earlier
Yes.
as well.
Bro,
So
81?
now, I don't know whose name it is, but whichever player it is crafting a. They have surveyed.
Camille is
Now they're going to
crafting a
craft
survey,
a
yeah.
sync chart. They have crafted a sync chart.
I need to get this. No. Why is it?
Of the deep desert, who created it, how long ago it was created, so you understand whether the information's out of date or in date. They're going to share that sync chart with their friends.
Yep.
And then their friends hopefully will be able to switch camera perspective and see their friend apply the sync chart,
That is
which
the
saves
plan.
them having to
Yes.
explore.
Yeah,
So this is that
exactly.
cartography look.
You could go out with like a
Oh.
really quick ornithopter.
Look at this. That's the deep desert over there.
Oh, sure.
To the left.
But you can go
You know-
out with like an exploration kit, right? That's
Yeah.
really fast. That
Yes.
You can go around. You don't have much harvesting abilities, right? And then
Yeah.
you scout the area, bring it back, and then your base can roll out with your transport ornithopters, your harvesters,
Exactly.
sand crawlers.
Depending what your plan is for the day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what
Which
people-
doesn't necessarily
need.
have to be PvP. There's actually a lot of other things, you know.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
might bring you to
I
the
expect
deep
people
desert.
in guilds to be figuring things out and how they're going to work together to do these things. But there's roles here, right? Like again, we tried to really build this game with different roles for different people within guilds.
Exactly.
So the idea is, oh yeah, maybe I'm just the scout, and that's what I do because I hate, going into fights. But I go out, I bring back the information, then people who like building bases are planning like what our logistics are going to be and what we're going to be doing this week in the deep desert. What do we need to
I
harvest?
hate that
What
there's
do
no
we need for
railings up
crafting?
here.
Are there uniques that we're looking for? Are there specific uniques?
It's
I
way
think one
against
of the
OSHA
really
regulations.
important points about the deep desert is that like the unique schematics, the imperial permits, which maybe people saw, the purple ones, they're on a
Fenrir, huh?
limited loot setup, so you don't get the same ones every week, and the layouts of the deep desert change. Here we see the trading system. The sync chart's been traded.
And those schematics you can only make a certain amount of times.
Yep. And now we're going to consume the sync chart, and then we're going to open our map and see that the sector has been cleared, the same sector that was sync charted. So this is kind of cool. You can create copies of this and pass it off to your guild. You can create copies and sell them on the exchange to other players as well.
Yes, and while now they're actually building a transport ornithopter, we can actually quickly talk about the Coriolis Storm in combination with the map, because we actually have
look at Carry-All.
a visual asset here
Yeah.
that shows how they can look like on
Yeah,
the
so
map.
we can talk about the rotation. So this is like, so let's see that we're going to see 3 weeks of Coriolis Storm changes to the map. So this is week 1. And then we move to, and you can see that there's like 1 eco lab, a shipwreck, and a cave there, right? And a small base, and some spice blows that have been marked. And then to the next week, the layout has changed. Where things are is different. There's a control point now in the bottom left. There's an eco lab in a different place, and a shipwreck that's been uncovered.
And there will be different loot and different
Different
schematics
loot
that you
in all
get.
of them. And then we go 1 more week again. And now you can see that this is a bit larger. There's another control point. It's a different house control point now. Different spaces on the map. A couple of eco labs this time. 4 or 5 caves and the shipwreck. So you can sort of see how this
This
changes
is
and how this loot
so
exploration
fucking
for people.
good.
And that's
I cannot express how well thought out and well intentioned all of these mechanics are. Brilliant. They are very, very brilliant.
1 tile.
That's one section.
One of
81st.
One of 81.
Yeah.
But I will say
we go.
this: it's a very big desert with a lot of space. So there's not all the tiles are that populated each week. So people aren't like, oh, there's not 15 eco labs in every square, right?
No.
Like it's a
more
big
sparse.
barren place. And this is also like important because if we want people to fight over things, we actually need to draw them to the same places to fight over specific things in PvP.
Yes. So for the ones who actually do want the PvP, they have a place to go with. I know there's probably other players there as well.
Okay, so now we have a transport ornithopter. This is the largest flying vehicle that you can craft in the game. And this may be my favorite game mechanic because the transport ornithopter can pick things up. And I love it because it can pick up almost anything that is a vehicle.
We're gonna need a defensive formation around our carry-alls.
Like the buggy is really hard to get to places, right? Even though it mines so much more than you can ever possibly mine yourself. But it's a pain, right? To get
Hey Zen, I'm doing well. Windows Shift S for snip. Oh, thank you.
To use it as storage and use the transport ornithopter to pick it up and carry it. Are we going to show an example of carrying? I guess we are.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
cool.
Because what we're actually preparing for now is a spice harvesting.
What?
The team's going out.
Oh, you saved me. That's very nice.
Okay.
It is
So
by
now we're
will
coming
alone
out
I set my
into what
mind
I
in
call
motion.
real
It is by the
desert, right?
juice of
This
that
is
food that
actually
thoughts
what you
acquire
think of
speed,
when
the
you
lips
think of
acquire
this.
stains, the stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
Guys. So Sen, you won't be able to return. The reason you're having an issue with your return capability of the game to get the deluxe edition, unless did you already have the regular edition? Did you pre-order the standard first?
So this is the Arrakis that we know from the films. So Hagar Basin is like and it's taking a lot of the information that we have from the books.
Yeah.
About like the different biomes and things and making it into a sort of interesting PvE experience.
Does it let you buy it still?
This is the true deep desert of Arrakis. This is the place where people are scared to go. This is where the Fremen live. We're passing outside the shield wall now.
That is odd.
Where the War of Assassins and the PvP is allowed to happen.
Spice Blood.
And you can see
That
Spice
seems
Blood
more
and
like an
it's
issue
from
on Steam's end.
miles around to go there, right? And I do want to say this section here, if you turn the camera right and left, you can see how the shield wall.
Did you see all of those ornithopters clipping out of visual range? They're out of the level of detail now. The ornithopter carryall is slower. I sent it to the moderator for their content Discord, and she'll bring it to their team. Yeah.
About going into the deep desert because they're worried about the PvP is. I think there's like an element from my end, a designed moment that we've talked about on this project quite often is like you come to the edge of this vast ocean and you dip your toe in the water and you're a little bit scared of sharks, but you see something in the distance and you think, I can make it. I can get there and I can get back. And the first time it's scary. And you feel that tension, and the second time, and the third time, but you feel that tension, but you actually start doing it.
It shouldn't conflict.
I get that people worry about
No,
toxic behaviors.
that's
and
very
dating and
strange.
so forth, but we tried to build a space where you can get away from people as well.
Correct, yeah. So I think that's really important to talk about is in Dune, you were given the tools to get away, right? Like if overwhelming amounts of people come after you, maybe you can't quite get away, but that's generally not going to happen. So a lot of it is more about, PvP is about controlling a point and like having to give up that point if you don't feel like fighting.
Fighting over things instead of kicking down sandcastles.
Exactly.
Correct. So on the Landsrad here, this is kind of interesting, right? So you can see the Landsrad's in the state of like, if we claim this as the Atreides, we're going to win what we call a Sisselrad. And a Sisselrad means that we're going to get the voting power for the week. So a Sisselrad is when we can complete a row. So normally, if you were Harkonnen and Atreides in this situation, you'd both be fighting over this particular control point because you really don't want the other one to win for the week. But normally, like it's kind of, you're always blocking each other and causing like the other team to have to, go back and focus on filling out a row or trying to fill out as many squares as possible. So we're trying to take the
House Haggle?
House Haggle owns this control point in the deep desert. We're in the deep desert as Atreides taking over this control point on their behalf. And you can see it's just this this control point. It's a place control point in the deep desert. One other thing, just if you stop for a second here, one other thing I just wanted to point out, one of the feedbacks we had in beta was about team markers. You can see our new team marker system in the game here. It's deliberately only for
I want to know about the third
groups.
faction
I will
too.
not allow this to be in the game for guilds because I want, like, especially I know people talk about Zergs. I think when Zerg guilds and there's 40 people attacking each other on the screen, if everybody can see who's in their guild, it's very easy to target the people that you're trying to Zerg. But if it's just the group, then it's much more difficult for Zergs to actually not do friendly fire.
Yeah.
And there is full friendly fire.
What the fuck is a Zerg?
I mean, they can do it if they work for it, right? They can make sure everyone has the same swatches and the same armor. So there is ways to do it, but they have to work.
Dress like and infiltrate.
Right?
Exactly.
Switch
Yeah,
to your
exactly. So that's
we didn't want to take
no
away
artificial.
It's been one of my Let's say I will say this is one of those things where I have had to fight with a lot of developers on this project.
I also think a lot of the toxic people are gonna go Hark.
About this.
To be honest,
ship down there, by the way, it's kind of cool.
Which will make it very easy to spill their blood.
But it's like giving too much information for free to players actually limits our ability for people to have politics and intrigue.
Yeah.
Because if I can see your name over your head, I know who you are, right? But if I don't know who that is, and you dress in my clothing and you walk into my base and you follow me around, it's like I might just think that you're my friend from the guild, when in fact you're just trying to infiltrate. And we want to allow that possibility because that is Dune. At its core, that is how things work. There are plans within plans, there are groups within groups.
Why didn't they just call it a blitz? There was already a term. They didn't need to invent a new one.
For sure.
That was a very early thing.
County War of Assassins.
The server border.
Yeah.
Our game has server meshing tech in the deep desert. And it's
Just so you know, server meshing tech is one of the most difficult things to accomplish with multiplayer games. Period. It's very hard to do it right. And you didn't even notice it. It just happened without you noticing it.
It's a very
Dark Souls and Elden Ring does this a lot in hallways. So the tunnels you go down into, usually, that's a loader, and it's an old gamer term. I just didn't know.
Technical thing to get working.
Yes.
But I think they're going to wait and see if she's to get the standard edition and still play on the 5th via their program, but I kind of want to have the season pass too. So if you had pre-ordered the regular edition, you could refund the standard edition. Are you worried that is it not letting you buy it? Let me look at this picture again. Dune Awakening Deluxe Edition. I don't think it's going to affect it. I think what it's telling you, Sen, is I think that's telling you that you're not going to get an extra beta key just because you pre-order the Deluxe Edition, because you already have a beta key. It can detect that you have a beta. Look, I'll show you. I'll explain this via actual data. Let me show you. So in my library right here, I still have the Dune Beta Weekend, right? But when I went to pre-order the Dune Awakening Deluxe Edition for the person that won that, then, is this live? This is live, yeah. What's up, poster? But this page, when I went to pre-order the Deluxe Edition and I played, it won't conflict. You don't have the game. It's just saying that because you're pre-ordering the Deluxe Edition, since you already have the Beta Weekend key unlocked in your hub, in your library, it's not going to give you another one. It was literally a message that was given out during the Beta Weekend to prevent people from getting mass keys and then not pre-ordering and then like deleting the pre-order. It's a warning.
From one server to another.
It's a warning.
And it's basically not visible, which is great.
Yeah, what we call like authority transfer.
I'm almost positive it won't conflict, Sen.
A random sandcrawler.
Your new PC, you'll be ready to battle you and your guild?
I love that. I love that mechanic.
Good luck.
It's fantastic fun in the game, just picking things up.
You'll need it.
Is quite slow.
Yeah, it's very slow.
So it is dangerous to go out.
I will say this, poster. Just so long as you are not stream sniping me, I'm okay with it. If you're stream sniping me, I'll report the fuck out of you.
Just in the transport ornithopter.
And you can, of course, sit in the
That's it.
Yes.
To be clear, stream sniping is in now some states illegal. So you could be committing a crime.
Which is really fun too.
You can also,
yes.
I think the transport.
I don't need luck.
5 seats as well. So
that's very good.
You can bring a whole little group with you.
Or have them
Kidnap other enemy harvesters.
Stream sniping is where you watch a streamer's stream and then hop into their world and go after them and kill them because you know exactly where they are because you can see them.
Well, which is also super fun to
If you don't know what it is, then you're a better person.
Really
just let them snipe you. Just go off on your own to confuse them.
All
I will.
tier,
They can try to snipe me.
tier 6 or
People
the
can try
last,
to do
like,
whatever they
7
want to
resources,
me,
right?
but
everything requires spice.
I have real life
So,
experience in all of this shit, so I'll be fine.
End-game vehicles.
Everything.
You have to wake up pretty early to
spice for crafting, essentially.
catch me
And also,
unprepared.
we mentioned the Landsrad. The Landsrad has always the center square of the Landsrad.
Plans
requires
within
spice
plans.
to win. It's important. The Sandcrawler is like, it's not the full harvesters that you've seen in the films. Those are owned by the big houses. But as you can see here, this is like a little raid event. We just placed a thumper on the side.
No, you don't.
Riding around.
No, you don't have to stop watching my streams. You just, if you are going to go into combat with me, that's when you stop watching the stream. You can't watch the stream while we're in combat together, okay? That's all I ask. It's just so that it's a fair fight. I appreciate having a disadvantage and a whatchamacallit, a handicap. But I do think that it's I think it's important to keep the level to keep a level playing
Stay
field.
on the spice, earn as much profit as you possibly can. You can even see the trail that the Sandcrawler is leaving in the spice as it sucks up spice into its little vacuum pack.
Yeah, so the sandworm stops being, it not stops, but it's less of a threat as you're going throughout Hogga Basin into the mid game. But then at the end game, right, there's sandworms all over the place, and it becomes a threat again.
Thumpers!
Especially when you're trying to get
Place
spice
thumpers!
So yeah, so you saw the Sandworm just took that thumper. Hopefully our intrepid thumper places have put out more of them.
They're totally well organized.
I
They
think
have,
we're
like,
good
several
too.
people
I'm not
who
worried
set up
about it.
like
I just
the
wanted to
scouts here in
clarify
the
for
area
anyone
that we
else
see
that
as
might
well,
also
which
be
is
watching.
interesting.
For worm sign.
Plus our transport to be ready for any kind
Yeah.
of danger that
And-
might occur.
And so as soon as the sandcrawler, like the person driving the sandcrawler knows that they're the target of the sandworm, they need to radio in and be like, get me off the sand, so that the transport ornithopter will pick them up. But at the moment, I think we're using the...
That's when I think with the sandcrawler, I think whoever's piloting the sandcrawler needs to go, worm sign, worm sign, worm sign. And then we immediately go to defense.
The thumpers effectively as a team. And this is a part of it, right? Like, this is why the Deep Desert is very Dune. I don't think you have this experience in any other game. And the idea was to create this. So if you are here with your guild, there's something to do and it's fun and it's interesting. But then other players might show up as well. And that's where it becomes another step, right?
So you're saying it's not just reskin Conan Exiles? Is that what you're saying, Joel?
We could talk about what the word reskin means. We could talk about, like, you know, that some of the best games in the world are reskins of other games.
So you see here, though, that there is a lot of...
That is
stuff
absolutely
popping
true.
up here constantly,
Yes.
which is both fantasy but also terrifying.
There is
Yes.
a limit to how much they will eat thumpers, right?
Yes.
They do eventually get annoyed.
Eventually
There's
they
like,
have enough.
I'm not that dumb,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
They'll eat thumpers for a while.
I see what you're doing here.
They have a diverse palate.
Yes.
I am a foodie. I'm not a regular
You
worm.
see nicely the scouts around. To
Yeah.
see, like, also potentially looking out for sandstorms
Yeah,
coming in. Of
sandstorms,
course,
yes.
Yeah.
they're kind of
Worm sign.
devastating in this particular. Yeah, worm signs. Enemies coming in as well.
Enemies coming in.
potentially.
Yeah,
Yes,
So yeah, it's this is kind of the experience of like harvesting spice in the Deep Desert from a large spice blow. And there are smaller spice blows like that you can come to with a smaller guild.
We also have them in Haga Basin, of course.
Yes.
Just way
There's
smaller than
just a
this one.
couple ones in Haga. Yeah, it's very limited because we wanted spice to be a rare resource that you need to go out here into the Deep Desert.
And I'm talking about like concentration of people, like the spice flow you can see from really far away,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
20 plus kilometers
Yes.
away. So you do need to bring some friends to be looking out for other people coming in.
Yep.
There's another thumper down
Being
there.
able to
So,
visually see
I know
that
we've
from
seen
20
some,
kilometers away is
comments
impressive.
from people that are like,
Very
well,
impressive.
You have to go into
Most
the desert
impressive.
to get, like the highest
Listen, I gave
gear and such. What
That
do
is
we?
not true. We have the exchange. We just showed that before, right? So you can be somebody that is making something that a person on the exchange would want, right? That goes into the Deep Desert to get spice or to get, you know, like some schematics. They can go to Arakeen or Hargo Village, post that, you know, and then you can trade it on the exchange. Or you can meet up. in
Worm
person
sign,
and
worm
see it.
sign, worm sign.
Picking up the crawler.
I think there
Oh.
might have been some. We can't hear it though, but there might have been some rumblings and some indication that
Yeah. We I think that they
some
got worm sign
big
and they need to
threats
move.
is
Yeah, we
potentially
do have a
coming.
known bug in the game where the spice color disappears from the sand.
It's still there. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's happening.
Oh, there he is.
That's why they.
and
Yeah,
there's the
we can
grandfather
actually
one.
hear that. Yeah.
That's shy.
It's great seeing the little sandworm.
Yeah, the
right by
little tiny
zip
one on
line.
the side. You can see the scale.
Little baby like getting into the action there.
That
This is
is
the
a
rumor.
true Shai Halud.
And that's gonna swallow everything
That
that's
one's
in the
big, yeah,
middle.
yeah.
They're like just everything there is lost.
It
and it's
takes
just
a
like
lot. But these guys managed to succeed and they can take their haul out of the Deep Desert today with them.
very
Well, of
well
course they
prepared.
managed to
Yes, they were
succeed.
well
They're the only ones
But-
playing
so
on that
as-
server.
As our crew here is now going back to... Actually, maybe we can explore a little bit because we do actually have Imperial testing stations here as well. And I think we're actually somewhat close to one, if I remember correctly. So we can maybe show that from above as well. Again, to...
Spice
just
blow, spice blow, spice
bring in
blow.
that there is a lot of
Approximately
content in, the
20
Deep Desert that is not just,
clicks
like, flat out PvP, right?
at north
Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah.
northeast.
And this is our high-end PvP
Spice blow,
encounters
spice
in the
blow,
Deep
spice
Desert,
blow.
so
Sorry, north by
the
northwest.
Eco labs or ecological testing stations.
Yeah. Oh,
they're
yeah.
actually tuned
Apologies.
for 4 players. Yeah. So it's the main PvE challenge would be out here where you're going.
Another
to
server
places that we're
merge
talking about
right
earlier.
there.
Mm-hmm.
You just
Right, you
reached
need
a
to
server
scout,
border.
You need to find them, and then you need to perhaps fight over them.
And work as a team. I think these are tuned towards...
It's so seamless.
minimum
It's so
4 people.
fucking good.
We
Right, so-
actually showed one in our combat stream.
Yeah, the
second part,
two days
yeah,
ago.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly. They're like kind of wave-based, kind of very different approach.
I'm
than
so
the
excited for my
Imperial testing
Orny.
stations that we have in Haggard Basin.
And they're
Yeah,
different
there's-
every week.
it's the entrance
Yes.
to Call of the Station. And you know, like as the game continues, as we go through live and we continue to update and expand, there'll be more things that show up on the map. For example, Fremen Sieges and things like that, that people would expect to explore. So things will be uncovered.
Sieges!
And
We need to
as I
find
mentioned, like, the
Siege
layouts
Tabar.
of the Deep Desert, they're handcrafted. We have a cool system where we like build the layouts by hand and generate the spaces between them with the sand. So it's kind of like we fill in the gaps with the sand. But like we are building new layouts for this all the time, right? And then over time we'll incorporate more and more elements. So there'll be.
That's the thing that people are underestimating about this game. The level for expansion and the capability for expansion to this game is infinite. They built it in such a way that they literally can build out the entire planet of Arrakis if they should so choose, along with other planets, and it will seamlessly load. Brilliant. Gorgeous. Incredible. This is what game development looks like when it is done with conscious effort and thought. This is how games are supposed to be made.
Always something to do. That's the pillar of the game, infinite exploration, right?
Yes.
And that's one of the goals, is to create a
Infinite
space that's
exploration.
always explorable. And
Infinite
something else I'd like to say that I think
exploration.
is, like,
That's this
important
game.
is we will add-
The thing that drove me wild in Elden Ring, the exploration. The thing that drove me wild in The Legend of Zelda, the exploration. The thing that made me hate Starfield, the sad exploration. This is different. This hits fucking differently. Hey, Forge.
like,
My
we have
favorite
DLCs
kin!
and things coming for the game. We'll be adding things in the DLCs. But the Deep Desert will always
Van Dyke!
remain something that
There's
we
a thin
consider to
line
be at the
between
zenith
enemy
of
and
the
friend.
power curve
Where
in the
that
game.
line
So we'll keep
stops,
adding
there's no beginning
to the
and
Deep
no
Desert.
end.
So let's say that we have tier
Hey,
5
4G.
items in the game and we go to tier 7.
4G, you're one of my fire team, by the way. You're one of my primary fire team members.
Well, we will always try to keep it on par with anything else we add in terms of power, because the Deep Desert really is that.
So, like, if I
continually
need a fourth
explorable
or
space.
you're
Central
on,
point that-
we can go do some
Yeah,
PvP
we'll
stuff together.
continue to add, like,
I already
stuff,
know
and
you
there will
have
be, like,
skill,
in
so
DLCs, there'll be places where people can
figured
get
you'd
access
be
to
one of my
DLCs
lieutenants.
currently in the Deep Desert, right? When we do that, we'll also increase the Deep Desert and make sure that there's more
If you
space.
want it,
So
that
that's
is
kind of
4G.
The long-term
You don't
goal
have to, but
is to continue.
I
updating the
figured
game
with
and
your
continue
skill
adding
from
this
Sea of
stuff.
Thieves and your
Exactly.
demonstrated
Yeah.
capability,
Those are enjoy players.
basically
So
you
while we
are
have
on my
our
6,
team, or
making
actually,
sure that I'm safe,
the spice
keeping
houses
our
go
team
back
going, working
to,
together in
on the way
PvP
to the
zones,
quartermaster
going into the
to
deep
do-
desert,
or like
murderizing
to-
people.
um,
You know, same thing we do in
Giving
Sea of
the spice,
Thieves.
Basically, yeah, giving the spice for the launch rod thing.
Refine.
We
Same
do have
thing.
an additional asset. We have actually a video from a stress test that we did with the beta.
Take their complaint forms and
last
leave none
week
alive.
on Friday, where we see a lot of things happening.
Shout out to the beta players.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, beta players. Fantastic work on that side as well. So here, that's actually a glimpse at the stress test that we did. That's also Deep Desert. Lots of people.
Impressive.
together in the Deep Desert.
Impressive.
And it's just
Impressive.
like that.
Oh my fucking Christ, impressive.
That as well.
They were spawning Thopters like crazy,
Look at the lack of lag,
throwing bombs.
the fidelity.
Players never behave
Look
when
at
they put
that.
them in the same space.
If I remember, that's actually Camille with the flames.
Oh my God. Oh my God, guys.
Like, we were
It's
testing,
seamless.
People
No
cross-platform
lag.
with our mesh servers. And
Oh my God.
Sorry, go ahead.
and fighting along the server.
Do you
boundaries
know
to
how
see
much
the
stress
performance
this
was, so
is?
you'll see people-
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a cool test.
That's
We-
up to
we got
70
a lot of
people.
Useful data out of this.
Yep.
And seeing how people were fighting
With
together.
particle
Shout out
effects.
to our automation team because they every
Holy-
build, right? We have the Deep Desert, and they have
Sorry.
this deploy our automation system called Legion, and it goes and it tests all of these things, right? So it's got hundreds of ornithopters going.
This
back
is a
and forth,
technical
all
masterpiece.
zone boundaries.
Yep, lots of.
Like,
There's a lot of testing that goes into a project like this. It's
Yeah.
the sheer amount and level of work to allow this to seamlessly function properly, this is what Bethesda should have done for Starfield. This. Instead, single player game, you have everything falling apart. This. Mwah, mwah.
Insane.
Yes.
And the more sandboxy you get,
Fuck
the
all
more
the
things
haters.
can break.
They are incorrect.
Obviously,
They
the
can
more
suck
freedom
my
you have to
fat
play,
fucking
the
balls.
more can break.
Fuck off.
Like, I think I said that to you earlier.
Don't
as
make
well,
me
that, like,
dunk on you in the
know,
deep desert.
Story-driven games that are linear and
I'll
developed
deploy the forge.
One thing we do have that aspect in the game as well, but I think what we at Funcom really love to do is we love to create worlds where players can write their own stories and can tell their own stories, right? I think that's such a
He's
different
basically
approach
like a
to
Tasmanian devil.
game development.
You just throw him in there and he goes,
Yeah.
and everyone dies.
Stories, and that's why, like, these tense locations.
And then I'll be up there with orbital support, just
It
shoot.
does spawn these memorable moments that you remember, that you go experience with your friends or your.
And you'll
guild,
just hear Forge incoming
you
and
make enemies. And that's really important.
strafing run.
Fully experience the politics and intrigue of Dune.
100%.
The power of multiplayer, right?
Yes, like I remember, like we had a lot of really cool. Before we go back to actually delivering the spice, we had a very, actually a lot of really cool moments.
That's up to
streamers
70
and
players,
YouTube,
bro.
Content creators.
That is one hell of a
on the beta
stress
weekend,
test.
On the beta weekend, and I remember one moment. I call it the GTA moment, where one of the streamers, I think, he was harvesting something or something.
Yeah.
Oh no, he was downed.
He was downed by an enemy.
He was downed but not out.
Yeah.
And then the other one comes in and just drives over the enemy that was like targeting him, and he couldn't stop laughing. It's like these little moments that make, that create those stories that are so.
This
fun
is
to
gonna
share.
change.
To you then.
This.
And that is, I think, where for me.
My guys, this is why Rust and WoW players are afraid. They are very, very afraid. And they fucking should be. Look at the fidelity of those graphics, bro. And this is just a YouTube video. Oh yeah, I got accepted for an internship for the summer, so I don't completely know what days I'll be playing. That's fine.
I think is one of the things like we
There's
get
no
a bit
stress.
Of, a bit of I mean it's fine.
We're
Like we
playing.
get feedback like jank, right? Like being able to stand on top of an ornithopter is janky. It is, but when they asked me if we should remove that, I said no. Surfing on an ornithopter is actually
very cool.
Why isn't that cool? Like why isn't that something we want? So like sometimes we make those choices as well. Like it's like this might look a little weird sometimes. But you know what? It's way more fun when you can do it.
Yes,
it's way more fun when you can do it.
The meta on beta might have been, surfing on ornithopters, shooting people with assault rifles.
A little bit of that might be fixed now. We fixed some of the assault rifle issues.
All right, so let's go back into delivering the spice now. Oh, actually, no. Let's talk a little more. I actually wanted to ask you both a question. You actually have answered that recently in an interview, but that's not the reason I'm asking because I have to do it anyway. So what is...
So one thing that people don't really know about the behind the scenes of a game development studio is that the PR manager is often the one that gets the creative director or like producers in trouble when they say something that they shouldn't have. So he's probably had a talking to or two or five.
Each of you's favorite.
That's why he says, "Uh-oh."
I mean, you mentioned a few things.
Am
that
I
we
in
saw,
trouble?
Like the transport ornithopter and stuff. But I'm pretty sure there's other things.
There's not very many people that can tell the creative director what to do, but sometimes the PR manager can be like, "What the fuck, bro?"
They do is they make the world more interactable than other genres, right? So I think the team has done a great job of like using the harvesting system. Not only does the cut array like cut up the resources and get it, but you come across these like wrecked ornithopters, and every time I come across one and I'm cutting off the wings and getting the resources from it, it just feels great, right? Because it makes the game grounded. So I would say that whole entire system there is really unique with what we're doing.
You're okay.
I mean, for me, it's.
God, you never have to worry about being embarrassed or anything with me. I am autistic and have social anxiety too, so never worry about that, okay? You're fine, Lucy.
Conan, we made Conan, and Conan's a bit more stock standard in the survival sense, right? You're chopping down trees and you're harvesting rocks. And when it came to Dune, we had the design principle of like make your designs fit Dune, do not make Dune fit your designs. And it was like, what is harvesting water look like in Dune? And there's a line in the book where Duke Leto is looking out a window and the sun's rising, and there's all these people out in the fields harvesting dew off the flowers, and you're like, that's how precious water is on this planet, and that's a moment that our game needs to have. And so it isn't just like
That-
the confluence.
So for me, when I went into Dune Awakening and I used a Dew Reaper for the first time, I almost cried because it literally is like I'm stepping into the pages of Dune.
It's like, yeah,
And
it's cool, this action.
I
of,
would
like,
pay
swooping
anything
the dew off the top of
for
plants
that.
using this little Holtzman field that
I will
drains the water
continue
up
to
and,
pay
like,
anything
not only
for
did the
that.
animation
I
team
will
and the effects team
support
nail
this
that, and the
game
audio
until
team,
it
like,
dies.
all of that works, but it's also like the back end, the time of day, checking when the dew harvest time is optimal, filling like, and it's so satisfying to be out there like 10 minutes before the sun comes up, and you're filling just liter johns full of water because you understood the game system and you understood the timing.
Yep.
All of those things come together to create an experience that I think for me it's just like, you can't have this experience in any game except Dune. And
To be honest, if they nail this the right way, and I think Expedition 33 deserves Game of the Year, I think if they nail this the correct way, Dune Awakening deserves a nomination. It would be one of the first survival games to be nominated. There's very few that have been nominated for GOTY. I think Dune Awakening is of a quality that could be GOTY eligible.
to me, that's the most precious thing, right? Like, I feel like it's.
In fact, I will be using my Academy credentials for the DICE Awards to be voting. I'll be voting for Dune.
So good when all those things come together.
If it's
as a
nominated.
developer, that's just the most rewarding
Also
stuff. And it
propose
feels good.
a
And
nomination.
I don't really care if anyone else likes it because I love it so much. No, because I think it really nails it, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't speak more
preciousness
highly of
of
how
water
cool
in
that
Dune.
works, right?
Totally
And
get it,
shout out to the
yes.
team who worked on it and everybody who did their part.
100%. No, I
Because
get
ready.
that.
Because games are made by teams, right?
To
That's the
refine
other thing.
spice.
Yes, absolutely. So we actually made it now to the quartermaster, and we are
So we're going to deliver
delivered the
spice.
Yes.
Try to win the lens ride. Okay, so these
Took a while
guys,
to get back.
these guys ask you, so you, because you're sort of you're a minor house or a minor house under the umbrella of the Atreides, you deliver Landsrad bribes to the quartermasters of the Atreides, and they make sure they get where they're supposed to go. So now we're delivering for House Alexan, we're delivering spice, and the House Alexan are a part of the manufacturing unit, which is where they, and so we're delivering 500 spice melange, and then they're going to make sure that it reaches them, and then that will, in a moment, change the Landsrad. So you can see how you have an impact now. So Landsrad is there under the social tab. This board refreshes every so often, so it's been a few seconds since the last refresh. Now we should be able to see our
Hasagal should
refresh
take
with
it
a certain
over.
amount of spice. Oh, we didn't go to Alexan. You're on the wrong one. You need to go to Alexan. It's in the middle.
The middle.
Yes, and then we can see that we've delivered some spice, and the goal amount has gone up, so that you can see that we've increased our goal amount with House Alexan there.
So we've.
Why are you working
Yes.
for
So
House
we have it work
Alexan
like
and
once
not
we-
Hagal?
Once we hit 70,000 points, and we can do any of these activities to earn points, like
You should be going as Atreides for House Hagal. You want to secure House Hagal because then you win. You've won the Landsrad. It's over.
control point. We
Claim those,
Yeah,
yeah,
we can
those
deliver
fields.
spice melange. But once we've done enough to earn that center square, then it'll flip to be Atreides and say that we've claimed it for the week.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's
Great.
Nice.
So that was a little bit of a
Steampunk
glimpse of
games?
what mid and end game can
not
look
really.
like. Obviously, that totally depends on what you like to play and how you like to play. There's quite a lot of options. We showed you
Frost.
a few of them, an approach of what can be done.
we're also jamming like dozens of hours of gameplay into like a very quick presentation.
Yes, 100%. Like this is very like preparation is everything, which is of course true for the game specifically as well. But before we dive into the Q&A, we are gonna take a quick look at the Mentat.
There's like a Storm game. Survive the storm or against the storm, and that's steampunky. Frostpunk is also pretty good.
You're not quite dead.
Yeah, Bioshock is pretty good.
Developed out of the need to replace thinking machines, the Mentats, trained on the principles.
It is by will alone I set my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Safu that thoughts acquire speed, the lips acquire stains, stains become a warning. It is by will alone I set my mind in motion.
And devise complex strategies. They are the most advanced tacticians on the battlefield. Combined with advanced assassination and combat technology, you will be able to think many steps ahead of your enemies. With a significantly higher cognition, as a Mentat, you can calculate trajectories and weapon handling to find weak points in an opponent's defense, or even guide the calculations of an external sentinel turret to assist you with extra firepower. Focusing on strategic control over raw strength, a Mentat is an expert in assassination technology, using poison capsules to trap enemies in a cloud of death, or when out of sight, send in a hunter-seeker before the enemy has even noticed your presence. For a tactical advantage, the Mentats have devised further development of Imperial technology, such as the shield wall for extra protection. And to fool simple-minded enemies, a projection of yourself will confuse and scatter their focus. Throughout the dunes of Arrakis, any school can be trained and improved by masters, increasing your mental capacity and further advancing your tactical technology.
Wait.
Will let you hold the strategic advantage. Expert in assassination technology, using poison capsules to trap enemies in a cloud of death, or when out of sight, send in a hunter-seeker before the enemy has even noticed your presence. For a tactical advantage, the Mentats have devised further development of Imperial by masters.
What is this? Oh, Swordmaster. Swordmaster, Trooper, Planetologist, Benny Jez, and that one is the Mentat.
Increasing your mental capacity and further advancing your
I know, right?
technology will let you hold the strategic advantage in any situation.
I want all of these fits.
But to reach the highest tactical operation, adopting other schools of thought will increase your mental complexity, opening up further possibilities. Focus your mind and calculate each step forward to find the
Alex is going to be a sniper
for
in
your
Overwatch.
survival on Arrakis.
All right, and we are back for our Q&A. So our wizards behind the screens and behind the cameras are gonna throw up questions that have been collected. They're ready now. I was the Smithfield, fantastic.
Before anybody asks any questions, though, I just want to make a reveal of my own. My special toe shoes today for everybody's.
They look really cool, though.
They are cool.
But it also looks a bit like Hobbit feet, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like at least close up, Chad. So it's good you have a little bit of a. It's good you don't have
Not
close
for all the money in the world.
From what I understand, they're very healthy though. They're very better for you than actual normal shoes. So.
Yep.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
I started wearing them 10 years ago and I'm still fat, so I don't know. Maybe
Super healthy.
Maybe they're working out.
I started wearing them 10 years ago, but I'm still fat.
I apologize.
What the? What the fuck, Joel?
We wouldn't want it any other way, Joel. All right. Rui's probably gonna kill me now, man.
Yeah.
All right.
We want him every other way.
Every other way? No. It's all good. Like it's also you guys make a really nice,
Hydrate, you bastard! Hydrate!
Well,
I've got pants. He doesn't have pants.
exactly. He has toe shoes. Yeah, you actually wear socks as well. So it's just like it's a whole balance thing. It's
Yes.
Yeah.
All
Nice.
right. All right.
Toe shoes
while
are
we
weird.
still wait on the questions,
Sorry.
just collecting some of them.
Nobody has
give
any
them a little
questions.
bit of maybe no one has
We've
questions.
answered
Perfect.
every possible question
I
people
wish.
could have is
Right,
fully
I
answered.
wish.
Watch
Like,
race ratings gonna
that's
be
kinda
brought
the,
up.
Both the blessings and the blessing and the challenge of Dune Awakening. I think is this. it has so many aspects of different games, that we really tried to put together. And
I really don't think there's any
Yeah, I
other
was, like,
game on the
presented to
planet
press
that's like
about the
this.
game, and I was calling Funcom morons for taking it.
yes, of course I was
Yes,
there.
yeah.
I was
was fun.
expecting headlines.
I-
we
we
didn't
take
get
a
a
lot of
single
risks.
headlines.
Yes.
We didn't get a single headlines like that.
Yeah.
Funcoms are morons.
Well,
Chief Creative Director says.
well, we are like we keep trying to, it's
Remember when I said he's probably gotten in trouble before? That line right there is proof positive he's gotten in trouble before for fucking up.
one of the things that I love about working here is like they let me do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
They let me try and do weird shit. Like
mean-
it's like you could work somewhere where you're doing the same game every year. Speaking of reskins, like and you're making the exact same thing and you're within this box and it's like and like I do like that we're allowed to push beyond those things,
I
right? And
agree.
try harder to do something different. And yeah, it comes with a little bit of jank, but man, I don't know. I feel like it's like the
I agree, though. I think one thing you can't say about us is that we like it easy.
no,
It's
exactly.
like-
We're morons. We make it hard for ourselves every time.
It's what we were talking about at the beginning, right? We make unique games, right? We take risks.
Is the exchange global or per
Sometimes
server?
It means that we make divisive decisions, but I think that's what was great about the beta, right? It's like people got to see what the true experience was. Oh, and here is.
Exactly. So we're ready actually for the question. So is that Lopil 125? Is the exchange global or per server?
It is per world. So the world is what we call a container of all the Haga Basin that you will play and interact with, right? So there are hundreds of worlds, so it is not global.
Yeah, it is one deep desert per world,
Yeah.
2 social hubs per world, and then many Haga basins per world, and that is what we call a world. And yeah, as Scott says, at launch there are hundreds of worlds to choose from, right? And within each world, there's many Haga basins to choose from.
Right.
Yep.
All right. And Speak asks, are the overland map dungeons instanced for players?
Interesting.
Can you do them as a group,
Good question.
Or are they open like
Very
the
good
social
question.
hubs?
The answer is that they are not instanced for a group. They are per player, and they are not open like the social hubs.
They are instanced, though.
Yes, they are
To a
instanced.
limit.
To a limit.
So several people in the same world can be doing the same, like
Yeah,
the
single.
water fat
Yeah.
mansion, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which are kind of our only instant content in that way,
Yes.
in that
Yes.
sense.
Yep. Correct.
Charlie Foxtrot TV asks, how do the different circuits work?
Oh, they basically isolate resources so that they can only be used if they're on that circuit. And then you can set a circuit for it's a little bit hard in the UI, but you can set like a machine's input and output circuit
Yes.
that way. And so that's kind of
Yeah.
the extent with it.
Like draw from this storage, deliver to this storage when you're finished, right? Like, and that's
Basically,
how
yeah.
This group of
Yeah,
connected
and,
items.
yeah, exactly. And you can set a certain number of storages per circuit, and so yes, that's basically it.
Kriegsdrachen asks, how will they ensure balance between Harkonnen and Atreides?
There are systems. I think I talked about this in that other.
You
when I got
you
that
just
question.
mentioned as well as
I
like
hedged
we
it last time.
have, but
We
you
have
didn't
some
want to
systems,
spoil
but I'm
it,
not going
which
to
we
talk too
shouldn't.
much
Exactly,
about.
exactly.
And then
Ha!
when
He's
we
definitely gotten
introduce
in
a
trouble.
third faction, which we are planning to. It will also have a role in that balance. But that's basically what I can say right now. But ensure is very hard. Like it's very hard to like be 100% certain because, when you give players choice, they choose. And so you can't guarantee that it's going to be 100%, not 100% people on Atreides on a world. But I think we have pretty good systems in place to make sure that at least feels like it balances itself out pretty well.
Yes, and the deep desert is not Atreides versus Harkonnen.
Yes.
It is every
Yes.
person for themselves, right? So even if Harkonnen are kind of dominating a server or they're 60-40, they're going to be fighting themselves in the deep desert as well.
And that's actually something I forgot to mention when we were talking about the Landsrad. Like the Landsrad, you can see the different within the
guilds.
factions who the top guilds are and who contributed the most. Because a part of the Dune thing is that like it isn't that like everybody in Atreides is a monolith. It's actually like people want the Duke's attention, so they want to be further up. And the same with the Harkonnen, right? Like I want the Baron to witness me, so I'm trying to get to the top of the list of guilds. So there should be inter-guild competition even within the factions. So they overall are working towards the common goal of the Landsrad, but they're trying to beat each other to be the best in the Landsrad. So they have the most voting power, they get the rewards, etc.
Yeah, especially also because like one Atreides guild might be focused on PvP, the other one might be super opposed to PvP.
Yep.
So they definitely don't want the PvP guild to like get, oh, we want full PvP. So
Yes.
they will, you know, work against them and like,
Yes.
oh, we want to be top because we want to have more say in which decree we're actually going to have next week.
Yeah, like exactly.
So-
a crafting guild's going to want the crafting decrees.
Exactly,
And they're
yes.
not going to want the PvP full loot decree, right? So
Exactly,
there's going to be
yes.
that kind of competition, even within the factions.
Yes, exactly.
So, yep, good question.
Cypher asks, can our bases get raided?
So not in Hogga Basin. They will be safe in Hogga Basin. In the deep deserts, it's a bit different.
Yeah, in the PvE section of the Deep Desert, no.
Yeah.
But in the PvP section of the Deep Desert, there is a mechanism by which bases have a vulnerability window where they can be raided. It is a very short vulnerability window, and again, I would point to the lore of the Dune universe. So I'm sorry for everybody who hasn't read the books and doesn't know a way in which shields can go down for a brief period of time, but it is worth looking.
There are 3 ways that a shield can go down. Notice me, senpai. The fucking 3 ways are 1, Coriolis Storm, 2, Lasgun, 3, Atomics. Those are the 3 ways.
Into, because then you'll understand exactly how the mechanics can work. And I know I'm being needlessly cryptic, but I'm sure there's people spamming in the chat about it already.
Let them figure it out. Oldman Alchemist, if I don't take the mission to talk with House Atreides or Harkonnen, will I be content locked as far as progressing? Sorry,
No, that's
the
fine.
main story and the ability to craft.
No.
Yeah, no. The story, I mean, while it involves House Atreides and the Harkonnen,
Hello?
it is not about that. It's about you.
Hey.
And your role on Dune.
It's your quest to find the Fremen and wake
Exactly.
the
Huh?
Sith, right?
Say
the main
again?
story follows that.
I'm
So
still
how do you feel?
I'm doing good. Still a little sick. Still streaming the live stream, but still a little sick from when my partner got me sick. I'm getting there. What about you? How are you?
Oh, I meant, how do you feel about the live stream?
Oh, I love it. This is. Let me increase your volume so I can hear you more. This
what we were
is
talking about and what we were
incredible.
showing
This is
earlier
what I
about
wanted.
different
I
faction,
the endless exploration, the instancing capabilities, the ability to infinitely expand the world, the capability to have a political system that is unlike pretty much any other game. I think it's similar to Eve, but a much more streamlined version instead of the intricacies. And I also think that the ever-evolving part of the game is going to truly make this a singular game. I don't think that there is a single game on the planet like it.
I agree. I'm pretty.
locks, like in terms of the
freaking
visuals
excited.
and those things, you're locked out of
Especially
if you
after
don't want to
seeing
join
some
a
of the
faction.
stuff
You
that
can't
they
get
put out
pure
today.
vanity.
But
Oh
they're
my
pure
God,
vanity, right?
yes.
No mechanics.
Everything
Yeah,
they
you
put
can't-
out.
But one
It makes it even more important why we need to get our intelligence network built up for the Atreides, because we need to have that immediately upon launch. That's the other reason why I think it's important we keep that head start server castle, because even if it's just me going on there to pay the 2,000 Solari, right, that still allows us to have some team members be able to assist other Atreides houses. And eventually what I think we should start to try and establish is we should create our own ambassadors and envoys. And those ambassadors and envoys, the ones that are on the most and want to do it and like volunteer themselves, they go and make sure that they are an ambassador and an envoy on one of the other servers and can potentially help out every now and then. And in so doing, hear the scuttlebutt, hear the rumors, get the intel, and bring it back. I think the capability for intrigue, the capability for
You're
infiltration.
A fucking moron.
Me?
Jesus.
Me?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about in general for human beings as players. I think the ability for intel gathering, I think the ability for strategic planning, I think the political landscape in general are incredible.
You can't do anything on the other worlds.
Not yet.
There's no interplay between them.
Not yet. But they plan to have us be able to go from server to server. Not in between the worlds. The sietches specifically within a world. Because I think the plan from Erebus was to everyone was trying to get in Central, so we're all no one has like really bad ping comparatively to the others. So like East Coast and Central. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking going between worlds.
Okay.
One thing that's
I thought you were talking about going between the worlds, and I was about to lose my goddamn mind.
No. I'm not an idiot.
You can't do
that. But however, within the worlds, we can have a singular envoy in another world that can eventually go between sietches. So they can go between the sietches and potentially gather intel from other sietches. And while it's not necessary,
the sietches are locked to the world.
I know. What I'm saying is you could create a singular character that's your envoy character within a different world, and then we have envoys all across, and we have information, because the worlds, while they are different in so far as things are going on, their deep desert may have different points of interest that are available 1 week comparatively to our deep desert, which might have different points of interest. I don't know how that works yet because they haven't exactly explained whether or not the worlds have different deep deserts. If they do, that's really important because then we know where future potential things are coming out, and it could even just be 2 seconds of talking to another guild. I'm not also saying this is a solid plan. This is just thoughts and ideas I've had while watching this live stream.
Plan's rad. Unless you have aligned yourself with a faction. Your guild must be aligned with a faction.
I'm not explaining it well. And it's also just
the one hard
new
requirement.
thoughts.
I think you and I just think that the
faction
game is going to be structured
That's
way
it.
different.
Otherwise, yeah, you can do all the content with.
I don't know. We'll see.
I also think when it comes to progressing, in the beta, during the beta weekend, you were still very much in the tutorialization part of the game, right?
We think it's going to
so I know that some players were like, whoa, this is very linear and things. But the thing is, things open up quite more once you're past that tutorialization section as well. So you won't be actually locked progressing when it comes to crafting or where you spend your points.
Yeah, and in the opening,
Intel points specifically.
In the opening of the game, after character creation, you actually get a choice as to whether you want to play with an unlocked tech tree or a locked tech tree.
Now I'm sad again.
The reason we put that there,
because I'm gonna fail.
You're gonna fail what?
Leading this guild.
You're not gonna fail leading this guild. You're doing a great job.
It's basically foreordained.
I'm
bad at this crap.
Why? No, so do you want to know why we always... Okay. Well, I don't think he's going to do a bad job leading this guild. I think he's going to do a good job leading this guild. I think that guild leadership needs to be a triumvirate. I hope he's okay.
is so that people who are advanced survival players or people who've played Dune before can just go, okay, I want the unlocked tech tree, I know what I'm doing. But I recommend, and we recommend, that the locked tech tree is for people who are playing the game for the first time, and really, like, because there are so many, we've been talking about it a lot today, there are so many mechanics that are just kind of Dune mechanics that we want people to learn, and we need to teach them. And it's going to be hard for you to know what to do. Like, you don't know about Dune and times
I
of
agree.
day when you should.
I agree. I think he's going to do great. He's kind. He's intuitive. He knows his people. He wants to make sure his guild is functioning correctly. I think we might have different ideas of how things might play out in the long-term future, but I also am really bad at explaining things, and I really hope that he is okay, because
be out harvesting dew unless you.
I'm not sure if I
put in place for that, right? So
did something wrong there,
or that you need to go to shipwrecks to craft better weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Kupa is asking, is there a level cap?
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe we're at 200.
Yeah.
Currently.
Yeah.
But you can respec.
Yeah.
So it's, I believe it's on a 48-hour
Mm-hmm.
cycle. So even if you cap out and you play something and you decide you don't like it, you can switch to something else.
And there's a point where you run out of, like, you stop getting unlock points for your tech tree, intel points. And then we have a mechanic in the game for you to go around and unlock more intel points by going to bases in the world, like enemy bases and outposts. So there's a level cap that puts a stop to some of those progression things, and then the next step from there is for you to go.
I think he's really stressed out with leading the guild. I think it's a lot. It's why I didn't want to lead a guild. I hope he's okay. I really do. I want nothing but the best for everyone. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I didn't think I said anything that was bad, did I? I don't want to be the one that's the problem here. And if I was, I need to correct that. I'm like getting anxious tearing this tape apart. But I want to make sure I didn't say anything that was like insulting or nothing, right? I thought I was talking pretty normally of things that could happen. Yeah, I thought I was being pretty normal. I hope he's okay.
Go and explore more and enjoy the game more.
Because we do want you to make some choices, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Also, like, I mean, there's different level and skill point caps, right? Because you have a character level, you have skill points, and you have intel.
I'm pretty sure I was just talking about potentially having envoys in other worlds that could get intel, because I'm not sure yet whether or not the deep desert is capable of being different per world. And if it isn't, then there's no need to have envoys to other worlds. But there will be need to have envoys to other sietches, because during the future, they plan on allowing transfer of characters between sietches. From my angle, it was just two people arguing about game mechanics. Yeah, I thought we were trying to figure out how the game mechanics worked. I didn't think I misspoke a couple times, but
points.
Yes.
So there's like 3 different
Yes.
caps that you
Yeah,
particularly
exactly.
hit.
Yeah.
K69 and
Right, Lucy? Like, as someone else with social anxiety here, I'm not, because I feel really bad. I feel like I did something wrong. I just want to make sure that I was just explaining my point of view and why I think we should have these. I don't think we necessarily have to have them. I think it's just an option, and it's potential futures, plans within plans kind of things. But I really want to make sure I didn't, like, I'm a kind soul when it comes down to it, and it really hurts me when, especially a fellow vet, like, brother, I care about you, man. I'm worried.
is asking, is it possible to lose all your gear in PvP?
Yeah.
So not in PvP in the base level. In the
Yeah, I
deep
think there
desert,
was just a
you lose resources that you're
miscommunication.
carrying, so like-
Hey, Zero Gravy, can you also check in on Hermit? He thinks that he's gonna like do a bad job leading our guild, and then he's gonna fail. And none of us here think that. In fact, we've spent the past like 15 minutes talking about how we think he's gonna do a good job because he's carrying and he really wants our guild to be happy.
Larry and Spice.
Yeah, I'm worried about him. I like legit. I was just talking theories and potentialities. I didn't do anything bad. I was talking about how he could potentially have envoys to other worlds, and then he got really hard on himself.
And you take durability damage to some of your
Really
gear,
worried about him.
Right, that's what
Thank
happens
you.
every time you die, PvE or PvP.
The end game
If
looks
there's
really
a
good though. To
specific
answer your
decree
question,
from
the end game looks
Landra,
incredible. We're
which
gonna have a lot of
enables
fun, Gravy.
Full loot PvP in the deep desert for 1 week, then that's the only time in the game where you can lose all your gear in PvP. That's it.
Or if you're fighting in the sand and a sandworm comes and eats you.
Yeah, sure.
If you
I
try
guess
to
you
fight
can
the
lose all your gear in
sandworm,
PvP, but
yeah.
we count the.
Yeah,
is the sandworm PvP really?
You know.
It's more like PvE, but yes, 100%.
Wolfie 1974. Are we going to be able to get blueprints that devs made of their bases?
Oh, the Tor Igo presents.
Exactly. This is Tor Igo presents. That's actually very
That's a
cool. I
great
love
idea.
that idea. That's actually a very
maybe
cool
we can
idea.
fill up some vendors post-launch with some of our
I was just,
pre-mades. Maybe.
yes,
We'll
I
see.
was just about to say I don't think players should actually pay for them per se, but we should, or maybe they need to. I don't know.
You don't want copies of my
I mean,
bases.
you shouldn't. No, actually, let me rephrase that. We shouldn't have a dev sell those items in game, but we can sell it via NPC.
Sure, yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I meant, right?
Maybe we can put a vendor or something
That'd
like
be
that.
cool, yeah, like you
Yeah,
mentioned.
maybe a vendor in the world can sell some blueprints.
You see, like, Torregil bases
Torregel's the
everywhere.
guy. Torregel's the builder among us. Mine would just be no one
Mine
wants,
are boxes.
No one wants to see my. I'm the guy who tests
New dog houses.
TTP every time.
Yes.
So.
I'm sure we're gonna have players who make a fantastic building.
That's not a theory, it's a game theory. It seemed like he jumped on that really quickly. I'm bad at PvP stuff, so I'll leave that to you pros. I'll just be the bait. Yeah, I was saying that down the line we could potentially have other people be envoys if, like, the deep desert is different in other worlds. We could potentially try and make allies or even deploy some of our own envoys into different worlds to get information about the deep desert, and then in their different worlds, once we're able to transfer from siege to siege one day, they could potentially go from siege to gain intel. Again, this was just all theoretical. I really feel bad, guys. I don't think I did anything.
Innovate is asking, will GeForce now be in Dune Awakening?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So GeForce,
there's discussions.
GeForce Now is
I can't
being
remember what the last
discussed,
is, but people are looking at it. Yeah.
I don't have Slack open, otherwise you could check.
GeForce
Someone
Now
is
is
like
the
hammering
streaming
messages
service,
to
right?
me
Yeah.
online.
So
It's like
the question, I guess, would be, will Dune Awakening be on GeForce Now
Yes,
for streaming?
yes,
Yeah,
that's what I interpreted
I don't
as
know
well.
the answer. I'm sorry, but Scott.
Yeah, I don't think I have an official answer, but I believe so. But yeah.
Helping Hans, how do you balance the council wins? If one side gets unique weapons, won't that side have a better chance to win the next vote down the line?
Not necessarily, because the tasks for the Landsrat are pulled from, like, so there's 25 tasks per week, and there's a pool of like 400 tasks that can potentially show up. So you, first of all, don't
Just
necessarily
genuinely
know
worried
what's
about
going to be
him,
there.
so.
Unique weapons doesn't actually influence everything. Some of the tasks are kill tasks. You don't know which tasks are going to be revealed first. You also have to bribe Landsrat envoys with spice to reveal tasks. And if your faction does it before the other faction, you'll see, okay, we need to do this. So you might just get ahead because you had more spice or whatever. It's not going to come down to unique weapons. Absolutely not. That's not going to be the thing that means that one side gets a sudden landslide kind of advantage. Yeah, so I think that's the best way to answer that, I think, from my perspective.
I think that's a great answer too, and I think it just goes again into people are a bit too afraid that everything is about PvP and fighting endgame, and that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
And hopefully we explained that a little bit today as well for people to feel a bit more like relaxed about that, or disappointed, depending. Dr. Evil Eye, is there any content or materials that are hidden behind PvP, meaning that the only way to obtain that item gear material is to risk losing to large guilds?
I wouldn't say hidden, but yeah, like you can. The Deep Desert, which we just explained, is a place where tier 6 gear is, like items and materials for crafting those things. You need to go there to get those things. You can buy them off the exchange. You can trade for them with other people. But yes, you have to go to that place in order to get those things. And there is a risk of people attacking you when you're in that place. We tried to explain that this is a very large place. It's not going to be possible for a guild to cover the entire space. It's just not going to be possible.
Yeah. I think guild limit's 32.
The guild limit is 32 people.
Yeah. So one per kilometer, maybe, if they stretch across.
Yeah, they'd have to stretch all the way across. And even then, I think there's all kinds of tactics and ways to draw them off. And I don't think it's going to be a problem.
There are potentially hundreds and hundreds of people that can be in the Deep Desert, right? So one guild would be outnumbered by 100 people.
Again, if you want to rat, you can rat.
Yeah,
like there's options, right?
And also, like the tier 6 gear isn't required for the story or for anything that's having to do with like a basin, right? It's sort of just the Deep Desert loot.
But we can't tell people that they can't get to the top number go up, because they really people always want that. So so it's
there are other ways to get it.
Even though it's not required, you I know people are going to want it.
I feel like it makes sense though, because those people who really care about the highest level tier are probably the PvPers, and they want to be in the Deep Desert in the first place. So I feel like it's kind of a natural balance there too.
Hopefully we also have, like, I think there's this weird. I speak to a lot of people in our closed beta and our Discord, right? And I see that, like, there's people who kind of assume that everybody who is a guild in PvP is going to be this toxic.
Hey, everyone that's in the guild, can you do me a favor? Can you message Hermit right now, since you're in chat, and tell him that you guys think he's gonna do a good job. Just reassure him that you guys think he's a good leader and give him that boost.
Sick, sweaty.
I'm worried
kinda-
about him.
And I think it's going to be the opposite. I think we're going to have the good guy guilds who are out there actually protecting people and like helping people out. I've seen it in the beta already. People, I got lost in the desert, help, and people would come help them, give them rides home, like give them more gear. I've seen people in the beta like just give other people an ornithopter when they lost one because of a bug that was in the game from our end. They're like, "Oh, do you want an ornithopter? I have a spare one." Right? It's great to see, and I think that people worry too much about toxicity. Hopefully, we'll keep track of it, of course, but it should be fine.
And you have one player for the entire world, right? So and you are your name, right? So you'll have some sort of reputation.
Yeah, exactly. There's that as well.
Yeah, again, a callback to more old school MMOs that I grew up with, like EverQuest and all those. But anyway, so we have 2 more questions. Fort Team is asking, do you need a sync chart for each person in your guild?
Yes. You need to create a sync chart for every person who's going to want to reveal those things that you've got in your sync chart.
They're single-use items.
Yeah, they're single-use items, consumables, once you've created them.
And last questions. Neo Valkyrion, can transport ornithopters carry other ornithopters?
Yes, they can.
They can indeed.
They can indeed. I was playing it earlier. I was flying around carrying a medium ornithopter with
They
my
can pick
transport
up pretty
and
much
assault.
anything.
Yeah.
And
Or
again, they have
anything
passengers
vehicular.
too.
Yes, vehicular. Can't pick up people.
No.
Unless they're
inside.
They're sitting inside a vehicle. All right. So that was it with the questions for today, and also for our last developer stream before
Exciting.
Head Start and the official release. I'm like still like how. Okay, so
It's like 7
how
days,
do
8 days.
how do you boys feel, gents?
Me
How do you
first?
feel?
Go, Scott.
Pretty good, right?
Pretty good?
So beta went really well from our perspective. The tech was stable, and that's what we're always worried about, because we knew the game was pretty good, or we thought the game was really good, right? And all the tests we had run showed that, but we were a little fearful, that tech would hold, and it went really, really well with the closed-ish beta, right? The weekend, the server crash rate was low, the client crash rate was within our acceptable tolerance, and we're fixing most of the issues that we found. So cautiously optimistic, right? Incredibly excited to show the entire game, and so yeah. But the last week is always yeah.
It's like it's 5 years of your life, right? And it's like I think that's the thing that I think is like what I'm not sure people understand. Is like when you've been living and breathing this kind of thing for 5 years, and then like you see the game industry is volatile. Things don't go well for people. We have a team of that I love to work with. We have a team of great people that we've built over the last years, and it's like it isn't about like success in the sense of like I just want to say that like it is a game that I think is great, right? And I've played it and I kind of know that it has a lot going on, right? And I think it works well. And from the beta we got some confirmation of that. But I want my team to be together making games for a long time, right? So for me, this is like I'm nervous about that, right? Like the gaming industry is not a safe place anymore, right? It's not easy.
I thought you had a typewriter from the sound. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm reaching out to my Duke because I'm worried about my Duke. And, us vets, we have a very unique perspective on the world. And our anxiety and our depression affect us in oddly different ways than normal people. And that was, at least to me, a PTSD and anxiety response. And I think he's super anxious and he's taking all the weight onto his own shoulders. And I think he really just needs to let us help carry the load, I think he needs to rely upon his guild. And I think he needs to just take it one step at a time. I think he's thinking too far, too much, too crazy. and not just having fun with it. And I think that can be easy to do, especially when it comes to like a leadership role. It's very difficult and it's very hard, especially after the military. The transition's hard. We need to support each other though, and that's what I'm doing. He's my Duke.
You know, you see things that are fantastic from small teams going great.
I must support my Duke.
And there's been some fantastic games.
Atreides!
Games that you wouldn't have predicted coming out of nowhere, like Schedule 1 is a great one, but also like Claire Obscura, I'd heard of it, but I hadn't heard of it until really it blew up. And so you see these games, these huge successes. So I think it's like, you don't want to have the arrogance to think that you could be among that, but you hope. And that's kind of where I'm at least. I'm hoping we strike a vibe. I'm hoping that all the decisions that we made.
I think they made the right decisions. I think this is correct. I think they've done the correct.
And every one of them is about moving towards a goal, right? Towards a vision, a creative vision, a vision of a universe, a vision that a guy created in 1963 when he wrote a book, right? And that's, I don't know, like I'm extremely nervous, but that's what we're trying to get to, right? And that's, I hope what people feel when they play the game is, yeah, okay, you nailed it, right? Like that's what we want.
And I feel like we've made an amazing Dune game, right?
Yeah.
And it's the first where you're walking right on Arrakis. You're experiencing Paul's journey.
We're skipping 2001's Frank Herbert's Dune,
sure. But for me, right, in a modern sense anyway. So it's and we have a story we want to tell. People saw a really short glimpse of it in the beta, but there's so much more. Going through the rest of Act 1 and Act 2, right? Playing through that. And there's this long story that we want to tell over the, like you said 10 years, right? On the thing. So I'm seeing that. So we have a long story. We want to continue releasing updates, every 3-4 months with additions to that story in addition to the DLCs that we're going to come out. So when you buy the game, you're getting everything here right now, plus all the story content that we'll continue to release over the next years. So yeah, we're excited. It's a lot of pressure, but yeah, we'll do fine.
There's no guarantees in Love and War, but you know what? I'll say this for the record. I'm really proud of our team and what they've done. And like, no matter what happens, all of them can hold their heads up high because they have worked really hard to bring this to fruition.
Absolutely, shout out to our teams, the many teams that work on this game with all different departments.
Every department.
And absolutely, it's a beast of a game. I think we can say that.
Yeah.
And I'm actually getting goosebumps now. I'm sorry. I'm actually getting goosebumps. I'm such a. Yeah. Anyway, but I think that's a wonderful note to end this again last developer stream.
Yeah.
Yep.
On for before Head Start and release. One thing we can actually say is that you will be able to upgrade your editions on the 10th of January. So there will be an option.
10th of June,
10th of, sorry, June. Oh my God. I just, that wonderful ending. I just completely read that.
That's fine.
Oh well.
Congratulations.
Anyway, pro here, right? Yes, so 10th of June, when the game goes into full release, you will be able to upgrade your editions. Should you want to do that, there will be options in Steam. And we'll be ending. Thank you so much again, Scott and Joel, for being here during out of your busy schedules. So we really appreciate it, talking to us. And we'll have a last trailer. And with that,
final trailer.
Watching and joining us today.
We're about to call it on this live stream.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, see you on Thursday.
Yeah, cheers.
So then, you're not quite dead.
Great plots are afoot in the Imperium. And the currents of intrigue run deeply. You will go to Arrakis as our agent. You have one task. Find the Fremen. Wake the sleeper.
You were sighted fleeing the scene of a terrible crash. Who are you?
You've heard the expression, the spice must flow. I am the man who ensures that it continues to do so.
I dreamed of you, burst in fire.
said I gave.
I am terrified of what happens.
Let's go.
When you awaken.
The spice.
I want to
must
see.
flow. I am the man who ensures that it continues to do so.
I want to see her eyes.
I dreamed of you.
She has blue and blue eyes.
Lost in fire,
I think she's Chani.
comets in the sky. The seer of lies. I am terrified of what happens when you awaken.
You scared me? I'm sorry.
We've all lost our way. You can complete the mission.
Every person carries their past with them. Who are you?
Okay. We are at 7 days. 19 hours, 30 minutes until Dune Awakening launches. That's the end of the large scale or the live stream for today. A lot of good information on the end game. I think we overall had a great stream, and I will see you guys in a bit for Conan. I need to take a little bit of a break. I need to do some adult things, such as getting some records for my dogs for the vet. But until then, I'm always going to be here on Eric Keene 101 FM.